What's up, everybody? Can everybody hear us okay?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
What's up, Caleb? What's up, Star Wars Dog? How's everybody doing? Sounds okay? Caleb, if you want to jump in and join us, you're welcome to. We're gonna get started here in a minute. But all right, so let me get started with talking to Sterling about Disney's earnings this week, man. Did you follow any of the news around Disney, man, or were you just so busy that you just didn't give two shits about Disney this week?
It looks like they lost some money. Although I think we
Well,
kind of predicted that.
So the quarterly loss from streaming was half of what it was. So it was like 500 plus million. So they didn't sink a cruise ship this quarter, but they sank half a cruise ship. So, but the bigger thing was a couple of things. So first, they lost 12 million subscribers in the quarter. So that's a pretty big loss. They continue to blame that on the global shift with India, and so the subscriber loss was not good. But I will say this, what's up, Star Wars Dog? I will say this, Bob Iger, for everything that people are criticizing him for right now, the guy knows how to speak to investors. He didn't do a good job of speaking to the smaller investors, the individual stockholders, and the people that watch Disney Plus, and that go to the parks and that have been traditional customers of Disney. But he was speaking to a different audience the other day, and he did a pretty good job of saying nothing, which there's an art form into that, right? There's what I call executive corporate speak, and he's really good at it. And on those calls, he's not going to be called out.
Right.
They already had the disastrous call a few quarters ago where people were jumping in and asking a bunch of crazy questions, and they kind of nipped that in the bud. But he got through it okay. So the stock went up a little bit, and I saw people that don't know much about finance or the stock market, getting on social media and saying, "Look, see, the stock has gone up a few dollars." It's all you people claiming the doom of Disney. Well, first of all, 95% of people that own stock and investments don't look at something daily. They look at quarterly, biannually, and annually, and some look farther out than that. So if you look at the last 6 months, they're down 15%. I think almost $16 a share.
They're worth less than what they were 5 years ago, which
Absolutely.
that's not the kind of company that you would expect that to happen to. I mean, you look at other companies like, what's another entertainment company? Sony, I think over 5 years is still up like 70 or 80%. So, I mean, for them to be down and worth less than what they were 5 years ago, that's terrible. I mean, Disney was supposed to be a company that you could buy and hold forever, and that, I mean, that didn't really seem to be the case anymore.
Well, and Disney also had some interesting things that came out. As long, as much as we've talked about these shows coming out, I think this is a very interesting. I'm going to share my screen because this is starting to get out a little bit, and there's been no confirmation of this, but this is telling. So, key upcoming Disney Plus. You don't know anything about this. So, key upcoming Disney Plus and Hulu releases. This is Disney, right? So, third fiscal quarter ended July 1, right? So this is the most recent stuff. And you see these dates here. The stuff that's come out. You see Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. You see a lot of things that have come out. You see High School Musical, August 9th, the series. And so, okay, we see Ahsoka, season 1, August 23rd. so we knew that was coming out. We have The Little Mermaid, which is coming to Disney Plus September 6th. Elemental, which Elemental, again, for those that get confused, Little Mermaid did not make money. Elemental did not make money. So, the people came out and started talking about those movies.
They lost their movies lost. They didn't break it down by individual movie, but all in all, it looks like they lost 234 million at the box office. So Guardians wouldn't have lost money. So I mean
that cannot include the Indiana Jones 5 because
no, I don't think
it's still in the theaters, so they probably haven't counted that yet. But
I think that would have been Guardians, Little Mermaid, and Elemental.
I do think Elemental could have a good life on Disney Plus. I think people that like the Pixar stuff that maybe didn't go see it in the theater.
But if it doesn't add subscribers, it's irrelevant,
right?
Because it's not like the old days where they would license that out and then make money off it.
But I think Elemental, is one of those films that probably was hurt by the fact that it just people are frustrated with Disney right now.
Yeah, I just think
so they've checked out. Yeah, and so but we scroll down here: The Kardashians season 4, Loki season 2, Haunted Mansion is coming out probably sooner rather than later on Disney Plus and digital media.
Goosebumps, is that a new show they're doing? Am I seeing that right?
Disney branded television, Goosebumps, Disney Plus scripted series.
Huh.
But you notice anything interesting about this list for 2023? Reflects publicly announced planned domestic releases as of August 9th, 2023.
I don't see X-Men. I don't see X-Men 97 on there.
Well, that one I haven't even.
That's disappointing. That's the only thing I really cared about.
So, what's not on this list?
What?
Skeleton Crew.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot.
Actually, I'm not going to lie. I forgot all about that show.
So
just give you an idea of how in tune I am with Star Wars. I completely forgot about it.
So there's been a lot of talk that Skeleton Crew would come out in the fall of 2023. And that from that list that was put out by Disney, doesn't look like that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
And so, interesting stuff. So, will we find out more in the coming days about the impact of the strike and what it's done with these series? Skeleton Crew was expected to be done, pretty much done and ready to come out. So they're not filming anything else with Skeleton Crew, but very interesting. And I think it's just the beginning of what we're going to see from Disney. Others too, but certainly that not being on the list is newsworthy from Disney. And so, that leads us to Disney needs a win. They need a win bad.
Right.
And I don't think it matters where it comes from. And you've been predicting that one of the things that you're going to go see and that could do very well for them.
The only thing I care about from Disney.
The only thing you care about from Disney, which, is, we'll get a date here. And it's not this year. It is May of next year. And that is because it's been delayed, so it could be delayed farther, but Deadpool 3. Yeah. That's the only thing on the horizon that looks like a winner.
Good. Yeah. That's about the only thing I see from them that I could care about at all, honestly.
Thinking about Wolverine being in Deadpool 3 and is kind of exciting. And it makes me think about all the characters that I've enjoyed from the comics. And I thought about our good old friend Iron Man and thinking about Wolverine, and then I see this. So on Marvel.com site, amidst the tragedy and fall of X comes the superhero wedding of the decade. I said, well, who's getting married? Emma Frost and Tony Stark are tying the knot this September. Celebrate with Megan Hettrick's Megan, I'm so excited you brought us this great cover. And we look at the cover, it's the Invincible Iron Man. So it's an Iron Man comic. It's an Iron Man comic. And there's your favorite character, Wolverine. He's a groomsman in the wedding. But wait a minute. I'm looking at the cover of this, the wedding issue, and something is a little off. Yeah, it's not the white suit that Tony's wearing. It's introducing Mrs. and Mr. Emma Frost.
Well, I mean, their comic division has been in the
What
dumps for
the
years.
ever living hell.
Yeah, it's not. I've tuned out of comics from them for a long time. I mean, it's
So what the hell is going on with it? Like,
you just. I mean, they have activists running.
but who buys the comics?
Nobody now. No one's buying their
Well,
comics.
they're gonna listen. And I'm poking fun, but this is like why Marvel would hire
Who is
or
she, by
approve
the way?
Megan Hetrick's
Refresh my memory
cover?
who she is.
Well, we'll look up Megan Hetrick. Those that are on can jump in and let us know. That's just, I don't know, man. I'm at a loss for words. Like, they keep making mistake after mistake and not knowing the audience. And I know that look, there's a reason why Eric July, Young Ripa, is pre-sold like $4 million for his comic ISOM.
Yeah.
There's a reason why, and I'm listen, I don't care what your politics are. I don't care. Like, it's the things that are happening in the entertainment industry, hopefully is going to create a vacuum where an opportunity for independent creators comes out. That's happened in the entertainment industry before with independent filmmakers, and I'm hoping it happens across the board. So, anybody out there that has a talent and wherever you come from, whatever your walk of life, or that if you really love storytelling and you have an ability like obviously he's got, and what's up, Mattuine, and to tell a story via comic and graphic novels, and
it's almost like we talked about how that Barbie movie did really well at the box office, right? Like it's killing it.
Yeah, well, we weren't surprised that Barbie's done well,
and there's an audience for that, obviously, but it's like they're trying to go after that audience with everything, with Star Wars and Marvel, and that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
That's a different demographic, and they need to understand that. And until they do, I mean, we're going to end up with the dumpster fires that we have. And
I don't know, man.
I'm hoping they turn the shit by the time the X-Men come out, but I mean, that may not happen. Deadpool 3 could be one good movie, and then it could just be crap after that, unfortunately.
Yeah, they keep making the same mistakes over and over again, and at some point, you're going to look up and they're going to have lost the comic audience. Look, I mean, if you think about, you look at numbers and you look at demographics and you look at who buys your comics, you look at who buys your music, you look at who reads your books, whatever the genre is, and you look at movies.
It's mostly men.
And
mostly younger men. Well,
of course you want a cross section, but if you've got it, like Barbie, the thing with Barbie,
that's for women. That's mostly
the movie's for women.
Yeah.
So it's gonna make it could beat Super Mario.
It seems like they're kind of afraid to
it's
just
not
make
made for
stuff
us.
for men, though. But they're afraid to make stuff for men anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, they're afraid to just lean into that audience. I mean, we spend a lot of money, so I mean, just make stuff for us. And don't get me wrong. I mean, there'll be women that like that stuff too, but it's the women that love Star Wars usually have different taste than the women that love Barbie. You know what I mean? And the women that love Star Wars, for an example, or Marvel, are a much smaller demographic of women. So, I mean, you're not gonna grow your female audience without, losing probably 80% of your male audience. I don't care how hard they try. Women are never going to love Star Wars. It's never going to happen.
Not in big numbers, right?
No.
Because
it's always going to be a small portion
right,
of women that like that kind of stuff.
Right. And
it is what it is.
And look, the same percentage of female fandom of Star Wars from the 70s when it came out, it's the same percentage now.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed.
Go to a con, or you know, if you don't believe us, go to a con and just go to the movie theater when those movies come out. The women that go there drag there with their boyfriends.
And the
are there you know other husbands?
the three core characters in the original trilogy, one of the three was female and was a big character.
Right.
Legendary, fans loved her, Carrie Fisher. And then you have the three main characters in the prequel trilogy. One was female, it was Natalie Portman, and she certainly has her fans as well. The kids that grew up with the prequels that love Natalie Portman, and so it's nothing new.
I don't know a whole lot of people that love Ray though.
Well,
I mean, you really don't see.
But I don't blame Daisy Ridley for that,
No, I don't
or
either.
even Ray's character.
I don't think she's a bad actress. I just
They
think
wrote
it's a bad character.
They wrote a bad character and a bad story for the character. I never looked at Ray on screen and said, "Oh, she, you know, what's she wearing or how's she act?" Like, she didn't act poorly in it. No. It's just a poorly written story.
And the actress didn't do anything to like troll the fans.
No, no. And I've seen her in other.
You had a situation like, you know, Captain Marvel. That was a double dose of. A lot of people hated the character, and then the actress went on to make people angry too. So you had, you know, she was getting it from both sides.
And now she's not even, you know, Captain Marvel. She's, you know, Carol Danvers. She's not even
back up in her own movie.
Yeah, she's splitting screen with two other Marvel characters. And
is that still coming out this year?
I mean, I don't think so. There's been rumors that they're going to push it back. It's not getting any IMAX screens against Dune 2. Now, Dune 2 could potentially move. They've got some other dates for Dune 2 in the new year. I think I saw one of them was in May. And so who knows? But I don't think it matters when they put out the Marvels. It's going to bomb.
Yeah, I don't see that doing well.
So, you know, it at the end of the day, you know, I see this stuff and it's so laughable. And you know, while we're talking about, you know, we're gonna stay on this idiotic train for just a little bit longer. And I want to share just, you know, when you see a title and you know that someone's opening their mouth and it's just gonna piss people off. Well, here is Rosario Dawson ahead of the opening for Ahsoka on August 23rd. And Rosario Dawson explains how Ahsoka was inspired by Gandalf. So what the hell is she talking about? Like, you know, Ahsoka Tano, and this is Collider, by the way. No, this is EW, Entertainment Weekly. Ahsoka Tano may be a major player in the Star Wars galaxy, but she also has a lot in common with another iconic fantasy character. And so in the recent cover story, Dawson explained that she and Ahsoka series creator Dave Filoni were particularly interested in how Ahsoka has grown from a young Padawan to an accomplished leader, but she still has more to learn. Specifically, she and Filoni found themselves drawing parallels between Ahsoka and Gandalf from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. In the animation, you saw her go to the white, but what I loved is the idea that there was even another level to her. Dawson explained in an interview conducted prior to the start of the SAG-AFTRA strike. They had to put that in there. She wasn't going to talk to anybody about this after the strike started. Dave and I talked a lot about Gandalf the Gray and Gandalf the White, talking about that transition and how she's someone very capable and excellent and looked up to as a leader, but she still has levels of development to go. Did you know that Gandalf the White still has levels of development to go? Do they even know who Gandalf the White is? In fact, Dawson added that constant push for self-growth is part of why she connected with Ahsoka in the first place. That push for more, that desire for more. I can't read any more of this crap. What are they talking about? Like, literally, what are they talking about? I mean, it's when you let actors start speaking before a movie or show, you really have to do an intelligence check. And I really feel like that they need to start screening these actors and having some sort of, like they have like when they come into what are they like a manager of someone that comes in that helps them with scandals. Um, they need to have somebody come in and say, "Look, you're about to do an interview that's going to last 5 minutes long, and here's what you need to say,
Just make sure they're up on the fandom.
and here's what you need to not say. Stay away from this." But they don't do it, so they get on there and they start spouting off just like Rachel Ziegler did on Snow White, and it basically ruins a movie, or could ruin a franchise. Which I got news for them: Snow White's going down in flames anyway. Whenever that comes out, it's not even Snow White, but and they want to be diverse, but they don't hire any little people for the jobs. Even though when they have so they
If
hire.
you want to be diverse, don't do Snow White.
That's
Something
right.
else.
What's up, Caleb?
So I was gonna wait a little bit longer, and then I saw that article.
Do you think that Dave Filoni and
I had a
Dawson,
really good week? Nothing really made me upset this week, and my entire week is ruined. Ahsoka Tano is nothing like Gandalf the Grey or the White.
Not according to Dave Filoni and Rosario Dawson.
Well, Rosario doesn't know anything. And Dave is a child that is living in a grown man's body that wants to do adult things with his creations.
I wonder if Gary Nerdrotic has done. He may be so dismissive of it. I wonder if he's done a video on this. Like, someone needs to tell Dave Filoni.
But I'll bet it premiered on FNT tonight, or I guess this afternoon.
So, were you aware that Gandalf the White was still developing and learning his skills and abilities, and like that?
When this show comes out, there's going to be no developing. She's going to roll over everybody.
Listen,
Watch.
I have said this.
The Force is female.
I hope. I don't hope to be right. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's a really good series. I really do.
She's going to steal.
Me too. I really want to like it.
But all the dialogue I've seen in the trailers, listen, to me, you said this after Obi-Wan, and I held on because Mando was coming out. And where Sterling ended with Obi-Wan, I hung on for Mando 3.
Yeah.
This is like
a lot of us did.
This is like dating somebody who continuously comes home from work. You say, "How was your day?" And they pick up a bat and just smack you right in the forehead with it. And then 6 months later, you go, "You know what?" You tell your family members, you tell your friends, "Listen, it's going to be, it's going to be okay."
So you're that kind of guy. I'm not that kind of guy. I would just be like, I'm done.
Yeah, it's going to be okay. They've changed, and
I can fix him.
Yeah, I can fix them. We're gonna make it. We're gonna stay together, and then you get back together, and they come home from work 6 months later, and you say, "How was your day?" And they smack you right in the forehead with a bat again, and then you go, "You know what? Okay, we got a problem. We have to go to counseling." My family, my friends are saying they don't even want to go do stuff with us anymore because this is an abusive relationship. But you know what? We went to counseling. They told us all the right things. And I see that maybe there's progress. So you stay with them. And then 6 months later, they come home and they smack you in the head with a bat. At some point.
The way they handle criticism was what ultimately turned me away.
What's up, Star Wars Marvel purist?
I mean, you could tell by the way they just whenever anybody criticizes them on things, it's they start throwing out blanket terms, and it's just for me. I was just like, okay, I'm done. I mean, they don't get it, and
it's just disappointing.
Yeah,
the thing that really sucks for all of this, for Marvel, for Star Wars, for DC, for Indiana Jones, for anything new with Avatar, for all The Last Airbender, all that stuff. The stories are already there. They've already written them. They've already won the awards. They've already done all that. They already had the fans. Just put that on the little silver box that we watch.
And you know who can do that? You know who can do that? AI. AI can pull from the stories and put together a better story than the people they're paying to do it. And that's why I think that's a lot of the reason why they're having the strike. People are panicking.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
so we had the Witcher producer who recently, I'm not even going to say their name, other than the first name is Tomek, the producer of The Witcher, did an interview over in Europe, explaining why The Witcher sucked.
Because that's the only place she can do it.
We know why The Witcher sucked. Everybody knows why The Witcher sucked, because they didn't stay faithful to the lore of the games, right? And the material. That's why Henry Cavill left.
It's the books. I mean, the games take place
the
after
books.
the
Yeah,
books.
they stayed true to the lore, and they're okay. They didn't. So Henry exited stage right because he knew that the writers room and Lauren Heisrick, who is the showrunner, didn't care about the lore and about staying faithful. So you look at the books and how all the characters looked, and she said, I don't want to change any of the core characters. Like, I want to stay faithful to the books. She changed all of them except for Geralt.
Yeah.
So
if you played the games,
and
like
the
games
producer
do such a good job at creating those characters from the books, and then when you watch the show, it's just a slap in the face.
Well, I'll tell you what's funny. I don't know.
That's how I felt about The Last of Us also.
So listen, so this producer said, when a series is made for a huge mass of viewers with different experiences from different parts of the world, and a large part of them are Americans, these simplifications not only make sense, they're necessary. These simplifications not only make sense, they're necessary. It's painful for the showrunners to make these simplifications, but declared a higher level of nuance and complexity simply won't reach people.
Again, you got to know your audience. Like the people watching Game of Thrones aren't the idiots that watch TikTok videos all day long. They have a little better attention span. They can.
Here's what angers me about that. What's America's #1 export?
I don't know.
Pop culture. We export more pop culture than anyone else on the planet. All those shows that are currently being made, unless they are being made in South Korea, because they make everything for their audience. They don't care about America, which is why there's so many Korean K-dramas that so many Americans are loving, because they don't care about the politics of the West. Well, I mean, I guess technically they are the West, but they don't care. So their stuff's still good. But we seem to care about not offending anyone, that we think we have to make everything so simple for everyone to understand. One of the most complicated shows of the last 50 years was Game of Thrones, up until about, let's say, season 6. And millions of people from the United States watch that show. You don't need to dumb stuff down to have a successful TV show. And that comment made me so angry.
It's for modern audiences. That's the term. That's the term once they pop that in there.
So someone needs to tell Tomek that what's one of the highest grossing movies in the United States this year? It's Oppenheimer. Well, Barbie too, but Barbie kind of helps his argument. But Oppenheimer, it's a 3-hour movie where nobody throws a punch. It's a character study about a guy who made the bomb. So why is that movie going to make over $600 million? Right. American audiences went to see that movie in big numbers. Yeah. And I guess they're simple, right? The ones that went and saw Oppenheimer are simple.
I mean, there's a lot of simpletons. He's not wrong about
Well, there's
that,
a lot of simpletons all over the world.
but you don't have to make stuff just for them. I mean, like you said, Game of Thrones did really well, and it was hard to follow for a lot of people.
Yeah,
but I mean, you have to make stuff for that more advanced audience, and other people will follow along.
I don't know. He or she. Talking about it's a he. I want to make sure I was respectful to Tomic. It's a he. I don't. He gave an interview to a Polish news site, so I don't know if Tomic is Polish. It would be like me.
I mean, The Witcher is Polish. The author is Polish.
Yeah.
So,
and like, it would be like me making an assumption of all Polish people. Like this is what they want to see.
The Polak jokes. You remember those?
Yeah. Which, like, oh, here goes Sterling again. Breezy's. Breezy's. We I think we're 3 away from 1,000 subs. So it's been an interesting journey. We've been doing this 10 months, and I remember our first. And we'll get back to Wolverine in just a second, because Sterling's going to be excited here in about a week. When we first started, I remember telling the guy that was helping us doing the editing and the videos and learning about, OBS and video and lighting. And, it's just so many things that have nothing to do with content itself. That's a whole different animal. But, I was buying things that we couldn't use and trying things out. So we've learned a lot. And I remember asking him, like, can we put in images into our videos? And then it was like, Second Street Marvel, what's up? Welcome back. And then we wanted to put in video clips, and then you learn about copyright and what you can use and what you can't use. But the most important thing, the one thing I would say that I don't regret that we've done is, and tonight we're it's Friday night, we're bitching and complaining about stupidity on the internet. But most of the content that we cover is, most all of it is the stuff we like. We want to cover the stuff that,
we didn't cover any shows just to trash them.
Star Wars, Marvel, Pure Trinity.
Although we ended up trashing some of them, but
you end up in live streams or in a video talking about Star Wars, about something, and then inevitably, you have to talk about Kathy Kennedy if you want to talk about what's going on with Lucasfilm that's wrong. You can't shy away from that. Even the people that have been, and we know who they are, some of the big content creators that have been generally pretty supportive of Kathy Kennedy, have gotten to the point where they're like, look, it's time. We're at the end of this, whether it's 2 months from now or a year, but we're at the end. And what that change ends up looking like, that there's been so many discussions around it. So we've talked about that, but we didn't, there's been a lot of content we didn't cover. But next week we're going to have my little gift to Sterling. He's going to have a companion next to him, and it's going to be the arcade Capcom versus Marvel 2.
Marvel versus Capcom 2. Nice. There's perks to this, right?
Yeah. So in future streams, what you're probably going to have, I'll turn this into a running joke, because I guarantee this will happen. And that's not the only arcade machine coming in the next week and a half. But that's the one he's going to play. So when we start our streams, what you're probably going to see is me having to tell Sterling to get off the game and sit down so we can start a stream.
That is hilarious.
And, another thing that was pretty cool today, since we're a Game of Thrones channel, Marvel versus Capcom is top tier. Breezy, I was going to ask you, I had a lot of reservations.
It is top tier.
About, and Sterling knows, I was looking at getting the arcade, the actual arcade game, and that thing is so big, and didn't really want to put, and it cost a lot. I didn't really want to put that in here, and those arcade 1-ups are kind of a good size.
Yeah, they're good for
but yeah, so
you were looking at like a $2,000 medal. The other one you were
yeah,
looking at?
so yeah, the one I was looking at was $6,000.
Oh, God.
5,700. But that may have included shipping. I'd have to go back and look at the numbers. But so we got that coming in, and so we did have some stuff come in that I have to ship out. I have to check and see who won it. But we had the stuff that we covered last time on our. For those of you that missed our stream last time, we talked about some of the Game of Thrones stuff that came in.
Oh, that, yeah.
So this is, you're a fan of the one-ups. Good. We'll probably do a little video on it or just have him playing around with it. So this is the Game of Thrones Iron Throne Room from McFarlane Toys. So I had a couple of those come in. And then we had the pint glasses that you've been talking about, Caleb.
Yes.
That came in. So I think the map of Westeros and the Targaryen pint glasses in. And I think the Stark one is coming in next Wednesday. And then for those, I've got my Jorah Mormont Ian Glenn autographed card in the other room. But I stopped by. You know, you guys know I like to give away card sets. Caleb, of all people, can speak to that.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm actually opening the Doctor Who one right now. I just couldn't wait.
You open it right there. So I went by my card shop today. Really good guy that owns it. It's called Nash Cards. Great setup. They do a lot of sports, but what he does is he knows I like certain pop culture stuff and cards, and so he said, you know, I got some Game of Thrones stuff, and so he got a whole. They're all in the plastic cases, right?
Right.
So we got Edmure Tully autographed.
Oh, cool.
We got the guy that played what was his Salador San autographed. We got Amory Lorch.
There are some of the B team.
Yeah, the B team. But they're autographed.
I think you got Ollie in there.
I've got two of the autographs from Doctor Who so far.
I got Craster autographed.
Oh, cool.
You got Craster.
I like that actor. He was really good in that role.
Yeah, and then they got some of these cards. Here's Jon Snow, Kit Harington.
Cool.
And these are the cards like Topps did with Andor and Star Wars, where this is Commander Mormont. They're gold numbered on the back. So there's Jon Snow.
That's not signed, is it?
No, these are not. These are not signed. But what happens is the ones that if you collect any Game of Thrones cards, there's Roderick from the Vale.
Roderick Castaigne.
Here is one of the metal cards. Michelle Fairley, Catelyn Stark.
Okay.
So we've got Tormund. So there's a lot of these cards. Where was the one that you were making a joke about? We were laughing about. That was Here's our favorite. Here's our favorite Ollie autograph. Ollie, little traitor. He deserved to be hung.
Yeah, they killed my parents.
Yeah. Then you've got the High Septum. And then you got the Hound. You got Arya. These are the gold numbered. Which, like the gold number ones, it says 65 of 99. So they only have 99 of these cards. There's Arya, 65 of 99. So, you know, it basically, and then, this is the best one. This is why I bought the whole lot of the cards from them. So I got a really good deal. I just said, hey, I'll give you a certain amount. Give me the whole stack of cards. And it was Jonathan Pryce, the High Sparrow.
Oh,
autograph.
Cool.
So
yeah, he's actually a big actor.
He's a legendary actor. So I basically bought the set because he gave me a really good deal, and this card is the one I wanted. And I have Ian Glenn, Jorah. He gave me a really good deal on that one last week. That's in the other room. So that's autographed. So what I'm doing is I'm going to get to the point where I'm hopefully going to look up and I'm going to have basically every character of Game of Thrones, autograph cards, and just make them a complete set. It's complete as possible. I'll have all the main characters, and then a lot of the sub characters, but maybe not all of them because there's 1,000 sub characters on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I really appreciate the crew at Nash Cards for helping us out. And I wanted to mention them because as we started our channel, anytime you've seen me giving away card sets, autograph card sets, it's come from those guys, and they always hook me up. They always, are giving me a good deal. And, I look online at stuff before I go in there. So maybe they know that I know the pricing, but, they're always taking care of me. So I really appreciate those guys. And so, we tonight, one of the other things I want to talk about too, because we were talking, I don't know, Caleb, if you saw the Iron Man wedding
with Emma Frost.
Yeah. Emma Frost.
Yeah.
The cover, Mr. and Mrs. and Mr. Mrs. and Mr.
It did not. Oh my gosh, man!
You didn't see that?
I didn't see the title.
I may have to wait for Nikki to jump on, and then I'll just tease her with that.
So what's really funny is Star Wars Marvel purist and I were talking today about Marvel. Imagine that, right? And we were just talking about, kind of like it started with talking about Deadpool 3 and all these cameos they got coming. And one of the things that we were talking about was, all we really want is a good Doom. Give us a good Dr. Doom. And I was saying the storyline that I really would love to see is that Doom storyline from that first Marvel's Ultimate Alliance video game. That Doom storyline was awesome. And it wouldn't be hard to put into a movie or a TV show or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this pack had 5 autograph cards.
Oh, you're Dr. Doom?
Yeah.
You're Doctor Who?
Yeah. It's supposed to have 4. I'm on number 5 right now.
Well, so that card set was series 1 to 4. So it's Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant and then Billy Piper.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be interesting to see if you get in anything.
So far, the autographs are the Cyber Shade, which is the little dog character that's a Cyberman. The Empress of the Arachnos, which is the first bad guy the first Christmas bad guy. The Christmas Star episode.
Yeah.
Pig-like character. The one I'm really excited for is the Son of My Blood from the Son of Mine from the Family of Blood. The ones where he turns into a human. And then General Style of the Shantaran Empire. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we were talking about. We did a Fantastic Four video. If you guys saw it, it's doing okay. And about the casting and what we liked and didn't like. And since then they seem to have all but confirmed Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, the guy from Eddie from Stranger Things. Yeah, you're Tony Stark guy. So,
oh well, it could be worse.
But I mean, look, we've talked about Sue Storm and Johnny Storm and Thing and Galactus and the Heralds and Silver Surfer. Man, this movie will kick ass if they cast the right Dr. Doom, and it will suck if they don't.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Doom, as you said, like he's a bigger character. Like
he is
you
much bigger than Kang. conquer.
He's such a cool villain too.
He is. He's one of the most iconic villains in comics.
Yes.
Imagine to get that. They can get that right. They can have another decade of Marvel movies that people
Absolutely.
And if they screw it up, then
Star Wars Marvel Pure says Matt Smith would be a better Doom than Reed.
yeah, I agree. Definitely.
Yeah, I think you said that in the video.
That.
Yeah,
I did say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't seem. Look, I love Matt Smith, man.
I still think Nikolai. Yeah, Jamie Lannister.
Nikolai Coster-Waldau.
I think he would be a perfect Dr. Doom.
Well, yeah, because he could pull off the Victor Von Doom. Yeah,
I do like the guy that played Victor in the 2004 ones.
Oh, the guy from Nip Tuck. Well,
he's okay.
Yeah.
You haven't seen him in anything anymore.
Yeah,
he's in FBI now.
Okay.
I mean, look, here's the thing about that guy. And not a knock on him, but
it was Adrian.
There's 1,000 dudes like that in show business. I mean, guys that can do. I listened the other day about Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex and the Smallville series, was talking about there's only a few different types of actors. There's those that suck. There's those that read the lines, they hit their marks, they're professionals, right? They do their job. And then there's the actors that look for a little nuance, right? In every little scene. It's like what's on the page isn't necessarily what they deliver, right? They have their lines, but the way they hold a cup, the Christopher Walken, a tone like this, like it just little weird things that they do that aren't on the page at all. That Joaquin Phoenix, and and some of them we really like, and some of them you go, man, I can't stand that guy or that girl, but like they're great, right? And
you remember Daniel Day-Lewis, who would like completely transform,
and we have to we have to balance our panel out, right? We have three dudes bitching about the world.
Yeah. 3 white dudes, might I add.
Yeah, 3 white dudes.
Oh no.
And we have to get our privilege in check.
What's up, guys? Sorry I'm late.
No, that's okay.
What's up, Nikki?
We're talking about so Nikki, first of all, and I don't mind going back and showing you since I'm the host. Did you see Tony Stark is getting married?
What?
Oh. I gotta hit you with it on a Friday night. Hold on.
Which Tony Stark? And you're about to hit 1K, dude.
I know.
That's crazy. Congrats. That's awesome.
But let's do it again, everybody, for Nikki.
No,
so
great.
On the Marvel site, amidst the tragedy and fall of X comes the superhero wedding of the decade. And we have a great artist, Megan Hetrick, who brought us the new homage variant cover for Invincible Iron Man. So keep in mind, this is an Iron Man comic. And Iron Man is getting married to Emma Frost. And you look at this, you go, okay, there's Wolverine. We got the supporting cast, and then you go, wait a second. Introducing Mrs. and Mr. Emma Frost.
Wow. Why don't they just cut off his balls in the next issue and put it in her purse?
It's not enough to ruin Phase 5 of Marvel. They got to go back and go, you know what? That Tony Stark guy, the fans.
Notice how his mask on there is like in the shape of a heart.
Yeah, it's a heart. And they go, just in case people didn't really get it and they didn't see the face of Iron Man, the heart, we got to put him in his suit.
I want to know how many guys are buying a comic book about a wedding.
Okay, that's what we talked about.
Nobody's buying that.
Who did she design this cover for? Introducing Mrs. and Mr. Emma Frost.
For herself. Literally.
What?
It's just sad.
It's like are they going to destroy every iteration of masculine or male characters that have been like what else is there?
Try to, yeah.
I mean, they can't take Marty McFly out of Back to the Future because he's suffering from, Parkinson's. So they're not going to try to destroy him.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, but they are. Remember,
you would put it past
I wouldn't put it past him. No. Who owns Back to the Future, by the way?
That's Universal.
It might be okay for now.
For now, because they're doing a sequel to my favorite movie ever, Beetlejuice. So I wouldn't put it past them to
Beetlejuice is
Michael-
Universal, right?
Michael Keaton's coming back, I think.
I know, and so is Tim Burton and Winona Ryder and all that, but still, it just scares me.
The girl from Wednesday.
The girl from Wednesday, and we didn't cover Wednesday.
She's kind of based though in real life. Like she
she said something and got in trouble, didn't she?
I still haven't watched Wednesday because that's like
she's making the right people angry.
I don't think she's doing it on purpose though.
Nikki, that series, we didn't cover it. It's good though.
I didn't watch it because a quick story about me. Wednesday is like one of my favorite characters. Since I was growing up, everybody always called me Wednesday. No shock there. So like when I saw that they did a reboot of that, I'm like, oh great. But I mean, I'm hearing decent things about it. Maybe I'll give it a shot. But I'm like, I don't know. Christina Ricci for me is Wednesday.
Yeah, she's oh my gosh, Christina Ricci, like
she's actually in it, isn't she?
She's in it.
Yeah, Christina Ricci. She like when I think of her, you just said her name. She's Wednesday. Like, but this girl did a good job in that show. That's a very good show.
I watched some of it.
And you know what? I know not everybody's a Smallville fan. I watched 10 seasons of it. And again, there were times when I loved it. It got into the Fortress of Solitude. Christopher Reeve showed up on there. Margot Kidder was on there. And then there were times where I was like, what the hell are they doing? It was great bubblegum serial television series post 9/11. So I love Smallville. The creators of Smallville got Tim Burton on board, and they're the showrunners for Wednesday. And big hit for Netflix. So the last time they did an interview and they talked about the ratings, and they said Ted Sarandos from Netflix called them and said, next to Squid Game and Stranger Things, you were the number 3 series globally.
Yeah, Wednesday hit crazy numbers. Like it was
crazy.
a top show for a long time.
So and so
it had the look and feel.
I like the fact that she's in Beetlejuice too. And I like the fact that Winona Ryder's in it. Justin Theroux's
she's playing her daughter in the movie.
She's playing her daughter, and then you got listen.
Well, it's got to be a good thing when the director comes back.
Yeah, sometimes.
I just don't know. I haven't followed Tim Burton.
I love Tim Burton. He's one of my favorite directors, of course. No shocker there again, but still, something about sequels to beloved old movies just doesn't sit right with me. Especially Beetlejuice, that's my favorite movie
for modern audiences.
Yeah, no, that's the trigger word for me.
What role is his wife
playing? For a modern audience.
What'd you say, Kings?
What role is his wife going to play?
Oh, I have no idea.
And who's going to kill her?
Well, who are you talking about?
Helen Bonham Carter.
They're divorced.
Oh, are they?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, well,
she's right.
He's cast her in so many of his movies, and he's killed her almost every time he's cast her.
Yeah. Oh, I would love it if he put Johnny Depp in there and give him some work again.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Depp's had a rough few weeks, man. He's he divorced, or he was partner. He was partners with Helena Bonham Carter, and they broke up.
They made a great couple.
Yeah. Oh boy. Hey, they're if you got invited to that dinner party, that would have been.
Do not go. You want to talk about a red wedding?
Do not go.
What was that movie? Dark Shadows? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it was based off of the vampire soap opera.
So
I liked it.
So I don't know how many of you know anybody who lives or lived in New Orleans. I know Valiant Renegade lives down there. I used to go to New Orleans all the time back in the early 90s, so I'm going way back when New Orleans was way crazier than it is now. And I went down there one time for a bachelor party. And so I got down there the day before. About 17, 18 guys showed up. There was about 4 of us that got down there early. And we were hanging out in the French Quarter, and we had someone that we met that said, hey, there's a party at this house, and they'll have like a little costume thing where they didn't really tell us much. We didn't have much detail, and we weren't really paying attention. So we said, okay, cool. So, and we weren't freaked out. Like, we weren't driving anywhere. Just, it was a short walk. And so we're walking through the French Quarter, and Valiant would probably know this. But we get to the corner of the street, and it's all these houses. You could tell it's people with a lot of money that have restored, renovated these, these Victorian era house, the Gothic houses, right?
Mhm.
and it looked like something out of a movie set. And there's people all dressed up, and all of a sudden you hear this music and this procession. These people come out of a house, and they're carrying like a casket,
Yep.
or like a clear casket or something, and there's a lady in it, and she's dressed up, and they put her in this hearse, and this hearse has glass on the side so you can see it, and they're doing a procession down the street. And I said, holy shit, we just walked up on the weirdest funeral I've ever seen. And there's people drinking and they're dancing. I was like,
Yeah.
what? This is the weirdest wake.
Let me tell you something. I've been to New Orleans, and there's only 2 places that I've visited that have given me, I don't know, for lack of a better term, like a dark vibe. And New Orleans is one of them. Like, I was freaked out there. Then again, it's because, I believe in God and stuff like that. Maybe that's what adds to it. But I remember I went, and one of the first places I went to, of course, no shocker again, is the cemetery, right? Because they have these, like, I have pictures in the cemetery and everything.
Everything's above ground.
Yeah.
I went post Katrina, and like the flood lines, you could see the flood line on the headstones. But that New Orleans is a dark place with all the freaking voodoo and crap to do there. Shit.
And so there's people hanging out near me. So we kind of get a little closer, and I was like, what is that going? And a person leans over and says, she's not really dead. I go, who's not really dead? And she says, that's Anne Rice, the author of the Vampire Interview with the Vampire. She's having a party, and she has this thing that she does where they put her in this thing. She's in a hearse, and they're going down the street like a procession. It was all a show.
Yeah.
I would get claustrophobia.
Now, that's effed up.
So I don't know. I'm somebody that has lived down in New Orleans for a long time. She died years ago. I don't know how many years ago now, maybe 5. It hadn't been too long that she died. But this was back when she had, I don't know if she dyed it, but she had her hair black and it was in a little bob. And dude, it was
Creepy.
It was the wildest thing I've ever. I was like, she's not dead. I go, who's not dead? And she literally, and so when she came by us, you could see her chest, her stomach moving. She was breathing, right? You could see. And I was like,
I mean, I admire the dedication to the spooky, but you ain't putting me in a fucking casket, okay? I'll get claustrophobia instantly. I'll start having a panic attack. No way.
But I think about, her parties down there were, I was hanging out with people her parties down there were legendary. And I can imagine
There's
being
a lot
invited
of legendary parties in New Orleans.
Yeah, there's a lot of legend. Yeah, there's some parties in New Orleans where you may not want to go, and the chicken heads start getting cut off, and the voodoo. But but I imagine Tim Burton, if you got invited to a dinner party,
I would love to,
and had Helena Bonham Carter with him, that would be I would go to that.
Look, as long as there are no candlesticks and there's no library, I'd be okay. I think we'd be okay.
I mean, there's no way he would not be really interesting to hang around with for just like an hour. You don't make all the stuff that he's made and not be, at the very least, a very interesting.
I've always said I would love to see him take a shot at like a horror type of Star Wars movie, like Lost in Space kind of thing, and they go to this really kooky planet. It'd be like the strangest take on Star Wars. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I was not a fan when, originally they said he was going to do Batman with Nicolas Cage.
And it's my favorite.
Did you want to see that movie?
With Nicolas Cage?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Michael Keaton.
Oh, Michael Keaton Batman. But, he was going to do Superman, right? Tim Burton?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I did not want to see that.
I didn't want to see that because that's a whole different vibe. That's a whole different.
I love his take on Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd was good, yeah.
It's the only musical I'll watch.
Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
What about Grease? You don't watch Grease?
I hate Grease.
I love Grease.
I hate musicals, but Grease is a classic. Come on, man.
Grease is great.
I can't watch musicals. I went to New York and I went to a Broadway show. And everybody was telling me how great it was.
Well,
and I get through about 20 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, I just don't think Broadway's for me. It's just not.
Well, so it's one thing to go to like the theater and see something like Death of a Salesman.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like theater.
Movies. The whole time I'm just like, why are they singing?
Dude, I went in London. I went to the West End. I was in London, and I let 2 friends that are not 2 friends that hang around with them. We all have friends from different places, the YouTube world and work, and And I have my friends that I grew up with, and then I have some people I met through other avenues, other things. And so 2 friends that I was in London with that are not friends I grew up with, because my friends I grew up with, we would have never done this and it would have never happened. But these 2 guys wanted to go to see Man of La Mancha with Kelsey Grammer on the West End. And I was like, what? We're wasting a night?
Kelsey Grammer? Uh-huh.
Kelsey Grammer was doing Man of La Mancha, Don Quixote, right?
Yeah.
Come on, Fraser.
And he goes, well, you're in London, like, you know, it's important to go see the West End, you know, and see. I was like, this sounds like sucks.
That's the kind of crap they gave me when I went to New York. Like, you got to go to
Broadway.
Show.
No, you don't have to go to Broadway.
No, you don't. If you don't like musicals, don't go.
Don't
go to Broadway.
Yeah, like
unless 1776 is being performed, then you got to go see it.
But I went to see this Man of La Mancha, and it sucked so bad. Kelsey Grammer sucked so bad in it, and I felt like the
I'm convinced the people that like Broadway are just lying. Kind of like people that like jazz. You're lying. You don't like jazz. Stop it. You're just trying to be cool.
Broadway has a certain type of audience.
Yeah,
and I'm just not that audience.
No, listen, I respect people getting on a stage and doing it live every night, and every night it's something different. I get that actors, you know, it's a different
People
rhythm.
were standing up and just standing ovations, and I was cringing, and I was like, "This."
I'd rather go to a drag show. I mean, it has musical, it has music, it has costumes.
They're similar.
I would not rather go to that either.
Same audience.
Yeah.
Same audience.
I would definitely rather go to a musical.
No, I'd rather go to a drag
Venture.
show.
What's up, Venture? So is it morning there? Is Venture? You're 6 hours, right?
Yeah, they're 5 hours ahead of me, so it'd be 6 for you.
So it's if it's morning where you are, the sun hadn't come up yet. It's like 3.
It's very early.
3 a.m. But thanks for jumping in, Venger. Appreciate your support, Matt Tween as well. Star Wars Marvel Purists talking about Beetlejuice 2 says it will suck.
Yeah,
that's a safe bet nowadays.
I think it won't be amazing, but it won't suck. It'll just be mid, and that's still depressing. You can't follow up.
It's 3 a.m. I think that's a Matchbox 20 song, but
God.
That band went so south that he had to do a solo single with Carlos Santana.
I was never a fan.
Yeah. Carlos Santana got, and I'm going off the rails here, got called and they said, hey, we have this guy, Rob Thomas. Have you heard of Matchbox 20? And Carlos was like, no, I don't care about Matchbox 20. And they're like, hey, this might make you like $5 million. He's like,
Carlos Santana was like the Hispanic version of Slash. They just put him in every song. Like he just randomly cameoed in every song.
Dude, I bet you he made more money, Carlos Santana, off that one song than he has anything else in his career. That song played the whole summer.
I still listen to it. It's a great song.
I mean, yeah, it was good, but Star Wars Marvel Pierce said I'd rather go to a Mon Calamari ballet than Broadway. Yeah, it's yeah. Like, and when I say I like Grease, I don't want to watch I don't want to go to the Broadway and watch Grease. Watch the movie with John Travolta.
Yeah, that's slightly better, but it's still bad.
And the reason why I like Grease is because I was a little kid, and the first crush I had of anything I saw on screen, there were 2. There were Farrah Fawcett for a hot minute, and it was Olivia Newton-John. She was like one of the most beautiful women on screen I'd ever seen.
Mine was Molly Ringwald.
Oh, you like redheads?
I was like, well, not anymore. That's the thing. It's like I was because you very rarely do you see an attractive redhead. I'm gonna get in trouble again, so I won't say.
Yeah.
To Peggy Lawrence for Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
It's rare.
Hey, when we used to watch 16 Candles, we would laugh and say, anybody who believes that the character that played Jake Ryan, that Jake Ryan would ditch the girl that he was with in that movie to go out with Molly Ringwald's character, Samantha, is on crack.
I was like,
did you see Jake Ryan's girlfriend?
Can't remember.
Well, she had the topless shower scene.
My
if you're a kid growing up, that was like
my
legendary.
sister was older than me and like made me watch those movies. So it was Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, that whole
dude. Those movies, like when you grew up
always
in that era, that was our generation. That it's kind of like Han Solo.
The other
Indiana
was
Jones.
now you'll think I have better taste here. It was Kim Basinger from Batman.
She was great. Vicky Vale.
I was like, she looks good. Like
But hey, if you like Kim Basinger,
she still holds up from.
you don't have to watch
Right.
her in Batman, even though she was good in it. Watch her in 9.5 weeks.
I
That's
will
what-
always defend the Schumacher movies. I don't care how bad they are.
Yeah, those were awful.
Leave them alone.
Well, Val Kilmer wasn't bad as Bruce Wayne.
He actually wasn't, and it was one of those. I was at that age when I didn't like something, like I couldn't admit it, just because it was Batman. I'd be like, yeah, it was good. But as you get older, you're like, no, that was terrible.
Wait a second, Star Wars Marvel purist, are you saying St. Elmo's Fire is better than 16 Candles? Please tell me you're not saying that.
That's what he's saying.
No.
Yeah,
And
you know that symbol right there means greater than.
Okay.
I thought
No,
The
no,
Breakfast
no.
Club was the best.
No,
of
no,
those,
no, no, no,
those
no.
movies.
No.
I haven't seen St. Elmo's Fire.
St. Elmo's Fire, I've seen. I grew up with it. So Demi Moore. I'm with. I like St. Elmo's Fire for what it was. 16 Candles though was a whole different ball of wax. Like
16 Candles, I feel is like cemented as a cult classic, like for its genre.
It had all these different characters in high school going through different stuff. It all tied together. It had comedy. It had, what's up, Leia Rose? Like, yeah. Listen, St. Elmo's Fire. I went to the theater to see it, man. Rob Lowe was the coolest dude, and he was the Brat Pack. When you hear about the term the Brat Pack, it was Rob Lowe. I mean, Judd Nelson was in it, and there were others, Andrew McCarthy, but it was Rob Lowe, man, Rob freaking Lowe. It was, and he was shooting up a shooting star in Hollywood until he decided to show up in a hotel with an underage girl and got caught on video, and that derailed his career for.
She
about
lied
10
about
years.
her age, right?
Yeah, she did lie about her age.
People do that.
He didn't check her ID when she got to the room, and it was at the hotel. It was at the Democratic National Convention. They always leave that out.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Well, he made his comeback in Parks and Rec, which he's great in that show.
Well, he
Fantastic.
did. He had. What was interesting is his comeback started. Rob Lowe. He played the villain in several movies, like Masquerade was one of them.
And he's the total opposite in Parks and Rec. He's like the happiest person on the planet in that show.
Yeah.
Like,
and he just did an interview a while back.
He was in Outsiders, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Outsiders. I've got.
Yeah.
Were you not here when I covered the Outsider stuff?
Well, no, I
know everything about the Outsiders.
I saw your poster that you got.
Listen, I had that book in school because I wasn't like the most ambitious reader growing up. I would go. They would make you go to the library and check a book out every week at my school, grade school. So I just checked out the same books: Lord of the Rings, Prince Caspian, The Outsiders.
Oh, Prince Caspian's my second favorite one of those.
Yeah, I read all the C.S. Lewis books, checked them out over and over. I read Tolkien to some degree because Tolkien was a big commitment. That was a big commitment as a kid reading it. But the books by S.E. Hinton, The Outsiders, Repo Man, those movies that were based on the books, they were easy to read. They were not very long books, but they stuck in your brain as a kid, man. So like The Outsiders, between the movie and the book, listen, my crew of guys, we all had nicknames for each other. It was all Outsiders characters, and we would fight. We'd fist fight each other if someone said you're Johnny or you're Daryl, and you were like the weaker one. You fought someone to have that name. But Matt Risman's here. Hello there.
Did you like Weird Science?
I loved Weird Science. What are you talking? Kelly LeBrock?
Weird Science.
Every kid
Great
dreamed about like could make this girl could show up, and these two geeks. Which, by the way, they go to the mall and the guy pours the Slurpee on them. Who was the guy that poured the Slurpee?
I can't remember.
The two guys. Do y'all know who one of them was?
It
may have been his first movie role.
Who was it?
Does anybody in the chat know who that was? In Weird Science, when Anthony Michael Hall, Wyatt, and who was the other? Wyatt and what was the other? Gary and Wyatt. They were at the mall and someone poured a Slurpee down from the second level on him. It was Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. was in.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
He played one of the two guys that kind of picked on him a little bit.
It's been so long since I've seen.
Weird Science. Kelly LeBrock. Oh my god! And she tells a story about the guy who played Wyatt has a kissing scene with her, and the kid he was like 16, and he tried to stick his tongue down her throat. And she said, "If you do that again, I'm going to beat your ass."
Poor Kelly, she didn't.
She
age
like
well,
she
though.
like went off on the kid. She's like, "Listen, you got one pass. Next time you do that, beat your ass."
I still think my favorite
Opportunity.
movie of the 80s that I've seen so far, so it's always going to be The Lost Boys, because it captured like this.
Great movie.
The California in my mind is always what The Lost Boys
Love that movie.
portrayed. It's so good. It's such a strange movie. I love it. Kiefer Sutherland.
Lost Boys, and
Every time it comes on, I'll watch it.
Hell yeah, that's
so
a great movie.
Lost Boys has one of my favorite actresses. Another one growing up that one was on my list. If I have a top 5 in the 80s, Jamie Gertz.
Mhm.
Jamie Gertz from Lost Boys.
The girlfriend,
The girl. Yeah.
She
And do
looks
you
gorgeous in
star?
the movie.
Star.
Do you
Yeah.
so do you know where Jamie Gertz is today?
No.
Yeah.
She married the owner of the Atlanta Hawks NBA franchise. She is
That's
the wife.
so random.
She married a billionaire who owns the Atlanta Hawks. And whenever they do the NBA draft picks every year on TV, when they go, "Hey, this team has the 5th pick and the 4th pick," she always wants to be there, and so she gets all excited. And I see her on TV, and
Nobody's
that's-
career from that movie compares to Corey Feldman, though. He went on to become an international pop star.
He
real
did.
genius.
If you haven't seen some of his music videos and concerts, I suggest you look him up.
So
he was
if
a
I-
rock star.
Listen, there's so much in the 80s. You know, the 80s started with, and we did this on the 80s stream I did. The 80s started with Empire Strikes Back,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of B movies. The one thing I liked about the 80s, they don't do this anymore, but they made so many B movies that maybe, look, when you set out to make a movie, you don't aim for it to be a B movie. It ends up being one. But, Flash Gordon was kind of like a B movie,
A lot of iconic things came.
Who
The Black
Framed
Hole.
Roger Rabbit?
The Black Hole was a B movie.
See, I was
but-
a little younger, so I mean, I had
those
cartoons were a big deal for me. So like, you had Ninja Turtles,
yeah.
Thundercats, Transformers,
so-
G.I. Joe. You had
The 80s
It was
the
amazing.
80s were about what age were you when the 80s started and what age were you when the 80s ended? You have 10 years. So if you were 15 years old when the 80s started, your experience is much different. You're not necessarily you're into the movies, like Less Than Zero
I was born in the 80s.
and Full Metal Jacket and those types of movies. But, when the Black Hole was a failure, Risman, but as a little kid, I went to the theater and I loved it. I love the Black Hole.
What about-
Heathers is a good movie too. That it like
Heathers was great. Heathers
it
was
set
way
the
ahead
way
of its
for like
time.
those teen female, but also appeal to boys.
Right.
Man, I don't know if I could pick a favorite 80s movie.
I mean, for me, it's Beetlejuice, but yeah.
But to me, I would say I'm not even saying this is my favorite, but I am saying I think it is the best. I think there's a movie that is to me the best movie of the 1980s.
Dolph
And-
Lundgren's He-Man?
No, that's not Dolph Lundgren.
Karate
And-
Kid.
And I think it's a perfect movie. I think it's a perfect movie, and that's Back to the Future. I think it's a perfect movie.
Oh,
I think it's one of the only movies that gets the time travel thing, which is such a hard plot device. I think Back to the Future is the best movie of the 80s, and that's not my favorite. I mean, Empire Strikes Back is my favorite. And Raiders of the Lost Ark.
it's
is
just I
right
think about Star Wars and I put it in its own category. Like
Yeah.
obviously separate from Empire. I think of Beetlejuice. I think of Lost Boys. But then there's also like Spaceballs. There's Heathers. There's
Heathers was very different, man. That they made that movie, and then 15 years later, they made 100 movies trying to copy it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They set the way for those kinds of movies, and then like The Craft, I feel like is very inspired from Heathers. But then you also have Ferris Bueller's Day Off in the 80s.
Do you remember the what was it? The Burbs? Was that late 80s or early 90s? Tom
The
Hanks.
Burbs was if it may have been like 1990, 89, 90,
That was a good
91.
movie.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks and Corey Feldman.
Yeah, like Stand By Me. Stand
Yeah.
By Me was a great movie. So you have the
Goonies.
The Goonies.
I've never
Oh,
seen
yeah.
The Goonies. There's a lot I haven't seen.
Tim Burton's Batman movies.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
Well, yeah, that
But
was
like for me,
1989.
I can't pick a 80s movie because
here you
my
go.
favorite James Bond movie is
Of course,
from
you have
the 80s.
something from there. Of course.
Goonies. I've got the map and the key.
Oh,
Never
that's so
seen it.
cool.
Are you
Never
giving
seen
that
it.
away?
Okay, we've had multiple people talk about the Burbs. Let's look that up and see when it was actually
Burbs?
released.
Early 90s. Okay,
I think it was 90, 89, 90.
89.
Yeah, listen, I know my stuff, man.
I came on the other night and I watched it.
Scarface was 83.
Empire of the Sun.
See my stuff
E.T..
came in, Nikki?
What's that? Oh, you got it.
Game of Thrones, McFarlane.
Is that what a Lego or puzzle?
I don't, what is this?
Like
This guy has it, doesn't even know what it is.
it's a McFarlane.
Listen, I have
It's a
two- I have two
McFarlane
of them.
set, and you build it, put it together.
Oh, okay.
See, something I have to put together. Yeah, I'm not down with that.
I think it's
I'll give
legit.
one. And then the pint
Did you
glass.
think?
man.
Did you think you just opened the top and it would just pop up?
Listen, I was like anything. I was hoping the box would show up, and I would open it up, and it would be made. So, and Nikki,
Not a fan of Legos, Sean?
Huh?
Never a fan of Legos?
Legos came after that. That was, I don't know where Lego was when I was growing up, but I didn't see one freaking kid that had Legos. And if we did, we probably would have beat them up.
Because Matt Risman had them all.
I mean, Matt, you might have had a tough time in my neighborhood. I mean, like,
I love Legos.
I didn't see any Legos. I don't know if they just, I mean, I turned 16 in 1989. So, I don't, by the time 1987, 88, I was driving cars, didn't have a license. The day I turned 16, I had, I went down and got my license, and I had a rough year. I got in trouble a lot. And my dad said, I want to get this Jeep. And he was like, hey, if you go with the wrestling coach out onto the military base, the Marine barracks, for this bridge builders thing, it's like bringing the community together and do this thing for 4 weeks. I had to stay in the barracks, and I had to box these Golden Gloves guys, hit me with kidney shots, and knocking me down. And it was hell. And he said, if you do this, you get back, I'll get you that Jeep. So I went through that, came back, got my Jeep before my junior year of high school started. So I was thinking about cars and stuff like that by 87, 88. And
it sounds like a song.
In the late 80s, the movies started changing too. So you had stuff like Less Than Zero, where you have Robert Downey Jr., and the drugs. License to Drive. I love that movie. Love that movie. That's probably the best Corey. Well, Corey Feldman was in some great movies, but Corey Feldman and Corey Haim together because they were friends.
They were in Lost Boys.
They were in Lost Boys. Yeah.
I think
Lost Boys is better than.
I think
that.
that's their best.
But License to Drive was fun. It was them kind of getting a little older, and they were kind of you were thinking Blade Runner.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Raging Bull.
Corey Haim was a sad story.
I didn't have appreciation for Raging Bull until I got a little bit older. So Roadhouse, Star
Rocky.
Wars.
You can't forget all the Rockies that came out in the 80s.
Yeah, Rocky 3 was big.
And 4.
And
4
4,
was
but 4 was huge.
Yeah.
I remember going to the theater and people started chanting USA. Like pretty early on in the movie. It was
oh
funny.
yeah.
I mean, people, Urban Cowboy. So Star Wars Marvel Purists, I got two things. You said Roadhouse and Urban Cowboy.
What about Bloodsport? Was that 80s? I love that movie.
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
So Sterling knows this. I grew up down the street from Red West, and family knew each other. And after my dad died, I spent many nights going to dinner at their house. Red West was Elvis's right-hand man. It was his bodyguard. He did all the movies with him. So for those of you that have seen Roadhouse, there's a guy that owns a store, and his name is Red Webster. And he's the guy at the end of the movie that shoots the guy, right, with a gun. And he's friends with Patrick Swayze. That's Red West. And so I was over at Red's house for dinner, and about a year before, 6 months, Patrick Swayze, after Roadhouse, had given him a Palomino horse, very expensive horse, because Red had like 40 acres and you could put horses out back. And he gave him this horse. And so I was like, they were talking about it. I said, man, I've never seen a Palomino horse. Could I go see it? And Red said, no, I sold it. I got rid of it. Like I wanted the money. And I was like, so Patrick Swayze is such an Elvis fan, and he was a Red West fan. He's like, he gives you this gift, and he's like, you turn around and just sell it. And he was like, yeah, I didn't want that damn horse. He's like, you know how much money I got for that horse? Like totally unsentimental at all. Like could have cared less. And then, we were talking about Roadhouse, and he wasn't that type of guy to tell stories around, oh, we were doing this on the set, we were doing this. Didn't care at all. It was a paycheck. And Red could not stand Matt Damon. He did a movie with Matt Damon in Memphis called The Rainmaker.
I love The Rainmaker.
So the shooting was delayed for like a week because Matt Damon went to a bar or club called 616.
I remember that.
And went during filming and ran his mouth and got knocked out, and his eye got his eye black and blue. If anybody who knows that club back in the day, being from out of town and walking in there and running your mouth was not smart. But he did it, and he got knocked out, and it delayed shooting. But so Red's stories around Matt Damon were not positive ones. But Urban Cowboy, when that freaking movie came out, growing up in the South, all of a sudden you started seeing all these people buying belt buckles and cowboy hats. That whole, and then these clubs, bars, honky tonks started opening up where they played all the line dancing, all the stuff you see in the movie.
Somebody talked about a best of the best. You remember that?
It lasted for like 2 years, and then it died off.
With what's his name? Andrew Roberts. Is it
Best of the Best? That was Eric Roberts.
Eric
right?
Eric Roberts. Yeah.
First Blood was great. First Blood was a great movie. We're going off on the 80s tangent now. This is the thing. Like, they don't do the 80s had so many great movies in every type of genre.
Now they would be remade for modern audiences.
Yeah, and if a woman took her clothes off in the movies, it was not like a big freaking deal, where it was like the world was
sexist.
Ending. Yeah. I mean, go watch freaking Basic Instinct. Go watch 9.5 Weeks. It's it wasn't a big deal. That now they act like
wasn't it a big when Basic Instinct did that was a big deal, wasn't it?
When she uncrossed her leg?
Yeah.
Well, because
you remember Slither? I think that's
because
early 90s,
like Paul Verhoeven, so the thing about Basic Instinct was she did an interview and she said that when she uncrossed her legs, she didn't know.
Oh,
I never bought that, but maybe she didn't. And they got a little bit of,
there's no way you don't know.
Yeah, because
you feel a breeze.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So she didn't know, but she wasn't wearing anything under the dress. Come on,
right?
Speaking of 80s, what about Mad Max?
Mad Max,
great movie. Thunderdome.
Yeah, well, that had Tina Turner, the Thunderdome one.
That's a great movie though. Master Blaster.
Yeah, Blue Thunder. I didn't like Blue Thunder. My dad really liked Blue Thunder. That was the guy from Jaws, Roy Scheider, that did Blue Thunder. And then of course Eastwood. Eastwood had all his movies in the he had a kind of resurgence. He had the initial spaghetti westerns, and then he did the Every Which Way But Loose, Any Which Way You Can, and then he had Sudden Impact. He did a bunch of some of the Dirty Harry stuff.
I'm shocked no one said Top Gun.
Yeah, Top Gun was
huge.
Yeah, Top Gun was great, man. Kelly McGillis playing Charlie. Yeah, it's
everybody wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Thinking about the 80s, like I told someone the other day, I feel really lucky to have been a little kid, starting school at the beginning of the 80s and getting my car at the end of the 80s. Like it starts with the greatest movies, and it starts with the beginning of the video game. The arcades that turned into home game entertainment around Atari and then Sega, all the gaming stuff, the music.
So that was
whatever you liked, genre of music or movies or television, it was out there.
That was,
and you didn't need 200 channels to do it. You didn't need 5,000 theaters to see it. Beverly Hills
Cop, entertainment was good because it wasn't used as kind of like a content machine. Like the only thing that was constantly pumped out was like daytime soap operas and novellas, but that was expected. But like good TV shows, like I remember growing up, my dad loved Jag. Out of all things, what a random show to really like. But that's because it wasn't there. Nowadays, it'd be like 20 shows like that versus just making one good one. So
the Golden Child, was that Eddie Murphy? Venger? That was Eddie Murphy, right?
I remember that.
But
the 80s movies wouldn't have been the same without Kathy Kennedy. Yeah, you know what? Because
she had to get coffee for all the people that were making decisions.
Or they would have
Yeah.
fallen asleep.
You got to have good coffee. Star Wars Marvel Purist. I played my dad's in television. I remember in television was like one of the anticipated, like it was the first alternative to Atari. And it was like in television, like if you were a kid in the neighborhood had television, then, you know, your parents had a little, you know, had more, a little bit more money. And then people realized in television,
So by the time I
and
was
then-
into that,
and
it
then
was all
Sega came
Nintendo.
in.
NES, it was all NES when I was
yeah.
a kid.
But Sega, it was like the graphics card, the graphics were better. And so that was kind of cool to walk into the stores in the mall and get the Sega games because you knew they had better graphics. And Nikki, you probably didn't hear, but so next week I'm going to have to be pulling Sterling away because I got 2 arcade machines coming. I've got the Marvel Capcom 2 that's going to be over on his side of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got Tron coming over here.
Oh, cool.
And I'm still kind of trying to figure out. I've done a lot of research. The arcade.
You got a lot of stuff, but we still only see the brick wall. We gotta see it.
I know. So I'll give you guys. Okay, it's not built yet, but I'm giving you a little glimpse of what's coming in the next few weeks.
Okay.
So this is one piece, and see if you can guess what it's going to end up being.
Gotcha. What's the name? Oh, Rancho Obi-Wan. This is Rancho Sundowners. Okay. Is that going to be like part of the table or like the background?
It's going to be Death Star panels,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the piece without the acrylic.
That's really cool.
LED lighting. So,
Are you dumping the bricks?
no. The brick wall stays the same. The Death Star panels are going to line the wall in the room.
Oh,
No
okay.
one's gonna see it.
Oh, yeah, because you did mention you're going to zoom out the camera.
Yeah. So the Death Star panels with the LED lighting are going to line the side walls.
That's going to be cool.
Back wall. So I wanted to do it in the hallway that goes down to my theater room.
Mm-hmm.
I said something to my wife, and she said I'll be sleeping somewhere else if I do that in the hallway. So she was like, "You nerd! If you put Death Star panels with LED lighting in the hallway, I'm upstairs, by the way. So this is upstairs.
That's your man cave.
Well, yeah, I took over the whole upstairs. I've got my office up here, the theater room.
You have a museum up there, yeah.
Yeah, so I took the whole upstairs away. Sterling gets to hear her complain about it every time he comes over.
It's just
Yeah.
Hey, it's better that it's all concentrated in one area than spread out through the whole house.
Yeah, Death Star lights. So there's a guy on YouTube that has a video about this. And so I took all his links. He was nice enough to put the links for like everything that's needed. And so you get this panel, you can either paint it or make sure the color's right. And then there's an acrylic thing that goes on the back of it. And then you got the LED lighting. And then you have to get it positioned wherever you want. And then you can control it via your phone or app, whatever. So the lights can stay the same color. They can change red, blue, whatever, right? White. So that's what's going to end up looking like. So when we do the pan out and we show more of the studio, when it's done, you'll see, you know, I have to kind of cut it in around the door or two, but like you'll see the Death Star panels and then the video games. So I'm kind of making it to where once you see beyond our area here, there'll be some arcade machines and then Death Star panels behind them.
Well,
That's
speaking of Tron.
Well, I did.
1982.
Tron was like, yeah.
I opened up Twitter real quick. I don't know if you guys talked about it, but what's her name again? The one that was just in Oppenheimer. The
Emily
naked
Blunt
one?
or Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh. Supposedly Disney wants her to be Rapunzel in Tangled.
Why are
The
they
live
making
action?
that?
I don't know. I didn't even watch it.
Is Rapunzel like 4'11"?
I don't know.
I mean, Tom Cruise is 5'2".
They could do much worse. I'm surprised we're getting that close to
I met Tom Cruise for 2 seconds when he was making The Firm in Memphis. Yeah, he's short, dude.
He's 5'7". I have love for 5'7".
Yeah, he's like 5'6", 5'7".
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just messing.
I'm 5'8", so I have love for 5'7".
He's Kid Harington territory.
Listen, I've never dated anybody over 6 feet, so this whole notion about like needing people over 6 feet is just BS. What is it like? Less than 10% of the population of men are like over 6 feet.
I think it's actually even smaller than 10%.
Yeah.
Hey, Risman, did you see any of my commentary when you were at the bar the other night picking up women or trying to? Dude, you should have seen this bar he was in. It was entertaining. Like
It was very entertaining.
For those that never get on Graber's streams, you know, you got to make sure that there's no you don't have your kids around or anything because you don't know what's going to happen.
I'm not familiar with this.
And yeah, you haven't. I don't know if it's your cup of tea, but I'll send you the link and let you watch it. It's you don't know what you're going to get. That's what I kind of like about it. Like you could just like the night's over or whatever, you're kind of wrapping up dinner, you're whatever, and you check and you see Graber and you just don't know what's going to happen. Like you don't know who's going to be on there. You don't know who's going to not make sense. And then Caleb has to correct him and say, what are you talking about? Like when X-Wing was on, we were on his stream and he started asking about, is Christopher Nolan. He said Christopher Nolan's going to do Superman with Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, something like that.
We're like, what? We're like,
that reminds me of like how my dad, he'll randomly send me these random trailers from YouTube and they're all fan made, but he freaking believes all of them. I'm like, bro, this is not real. Good Lord.
The whole time I figured out pretty quickly that what X-Wing was trying to say in his mind somewhere was Nolan doing Bond with Cillian Murphy. I kind of somehow got it, but in the middle, he's trying to talk, and Nikki's going, in the stream. It's time to end the stream.
Oh, yeah. Jeez, man, he was out of it.
He was like, Nolan. So you never know what you're going to get.
He was
on X-Wing. Yeah, but Graber's is like that too. But so one thing I want to share, I have not covered it with you guys yet. Make sure I've got the right.
Can you hear my dishwasher in the background?
Do what?
Do you hear my dishwasher in the background?
No.
Okay. I'm here thinking it's like the loudest thing in the world.
So, Nikki, did you see? I'll share this for those. I'm repeating myself, but I want Nikki's opinion on it, and anybody else who joined us late. So let me talking about Ahsoka.
Special raise here.
Did you guys see the people that have just joined recently? Rosario Dawson, in her infinite wisdom, says how Ahsoka was inspired by Gandalf.
That's Filoni.
You're really going to put me through this again?
Yeah. Real quick. So, we already covered this, but Nikki wasn't here. She said Dave and her, they talked a lot about Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf the White, and the transition about how she's someone very capable and excellent, looked up to as a leader, but she still has levels of development to go.
They don't know. Even I didn't read the books, the Tolkien books, and I know she's wrong.
A 9,000-year-old Mira that is as close to God as they will ever see on Middle Earth, who is returned so that he can.
And that was him at his peak. There's no more growth for him at that point.
Exactly. There was no growth left to have.
Yeah. And that's a Filoni thing. We saw it when she was in her gray cloak at the end of Rebels, and then in Rise of Skywalker, when we hear her voice, he ran to Twitter and tweeted like a picture he drew of her talking to Gandalf. You remember that?
Oh, well, yeah.
But he probably had to scroll through all the other photos he has of her.
Mm-hmm.
But that just shows you Filoni has no clue what he's talking about. Like when he said on that interview,
are you turning on old Dave? I thought you were all in on Dave.
Dude, I used to be a massive Filoni fan.
Like
I've seen all his interviews, and then over the last couple of years, I'm just so done with him.
Where he argues with Jon Favreau about Luke not being a Jedi. Like,
okay, to his point,
I would love
that's not what he said. Go back and watch because we did this on EBN like the week after the video, and he's talking about more like the rules that went through of the Jedi Order, not whether or not
rules and the trials and all that.
Yes, so he's not talking about him. He's not a Jedi. He's just saying in that moment, Luke had not faced the trial yet, which was the fight with Vader. So there is a bit. I hate that I'm defending him, but there is a bit of
you're showing that you're an attorney.
Well,
The guy was saying he was not a Jedi. I know what. Listen, it's a technical. Look, I understand people get off all the time in court. They beat the charges on technicalities. So Dave gets out on a technicality.
Yeah. Now he knowing what his job is and knowing that he was going to be on camera, he should have known. There are certain things I shouldn't say. One of them is the sentence, well, was he a Jedi? Talking about Luke, that's a sentence that you should not say on camera.
Yeah, he just
He's dumb. This is the same guy that's
he's an animator. He's an animator.
So he wrote the 3 or 4 episodes of Nickelodeon, one of Nickelodeon's highest rating TV shows ever, to Lucasfilm. He rode the coattails of Avatar: The Last Airbender to Lucasfilm. And admittedly, I think we have to agree that he has done a good job with the stories that he helped tell in Clone Wars, because unlike what someone said, he did not create Clone Wars. George Lucas was in that room doing everything. George Lucas created the Clone Wars. He helped. He did create Rebels, which for me is a good TV show.
I love Rebels.
I'm telling you, I can't wait. I know it's going to happen. It's. I feel like Nostradamus. People are going to be so pissed at Ahsoka series. They're going to be pissed, and they're going to be shocked that they're pissed.
This is going to be kind of like a smaller version of The Last Jedi in terms of the fandom, because you're going to have these people go ride hard for this show. Like, it's going to be like the best thing that's ever come out in Disney Star Wars, aside from like season 2 of Mandalorian. People are going to say it's incredible. And then you're going to have people that are like, this is crap. This is just Rebels live action. They didn't do anything original. It's going to be a very interesting discussion. As always, the Star Wars fandom loves to, at this point, they don't defend the content. They don't actually like the content. They just like fighting about it.
This all takes place after episode 6, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It
takes place there. It's what? It's supposed to be like a couple months after we saw her.
When did Rebels take place? It was like right after the Clone
Rebels
Wars.
ended. It had the shot of Sabine that he's already retconned.
Rebels was like 4 years before New Hope.
He didn't even watch his own cartoon.
So because apparently, I think as Rolo said this, Ezra and Luke are the same age, I believe.
Something like that.
It's plus or minus a couple years, probably.
It's just already kills the canon.
Rebels ends when it goes 5 years after Jedi, and Sabine is on Lothal, and she's got short hair.
Yep.
And
I think what they're doing, I think, is they're recreating that ending episode of Rebels, like with Sabine touching the mural and then Ahsoka showing up and her hair being short. I think it's going to start off from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's that scene where she says something like, nice haircut.
Go look at the shot of her standing on the balcony looking over.
That's the same thing.
The city, and she's got short hair in the animated, and they do the same shot in the trailer, and she's got long hair. He's a dummy.
So in the second trailer, we see her with short hair, and I think that there's, I think it's assumed that Ahsoka's going to show up to the tower, basically say, "Hey, let's go get Ezra." And she's going to cut her hair right there. And then we're going to see the shot from the animated show. And then it's going to go into a new conversation.
I bet you you're wrong. I bet you anything. Oh. He's an idiot.
Well, I mean, we've already seen
his own retcon.
We've already seen a picture of her with short hair. We've seen in the second trailer, they did there's like a 3-second conversation between the two of them where she's got short hair in the tower, and Ahsoka says something like, "Nice haircut," or "I liked it long," or something like that.
Yeah. The only dialogue in the trailers it ain't even halfway decent is Balin. His dialogue is the only dialogue.
Another person that somehow knew Anakin.
What do they say about Rebels?
Is that
Rebels never die? What do they say about Rebels in the con?
No, that's Goonies.
Well, Rebels. What do they say in the trailer?
Something gay. I don't know. Every time they bring up being rebels, it's always something corny.
They say something about being rebels in the trailer.
That's what rebels do, or something like that.
Honestly, because I want to watch.
They're not
the
Rebels
show,
anymore. The
I've
Empire's
been not
gone.
watching the trailers.
Once a rebel,
Take
always
my
a rebel.
advice and walk away.
Yeah. Is that what it is, guys?
I think
Oh,
Once a rebel,
I
always a
think it
rebel.
might be.
Give up on
Yeah.
Star Wars, and you won't be
Once a
disappointed.
Once a rebel, always a rebel. Thanks, Ronnie. Thanks, Nikki. Like, yeah, boy, that took a lot of writing skill. Like, I bet he sat down and took weeks to come up with. We got to say something really, really cool here. You know, dude.
They're doing the same thing that Rings of Power did.
I was just gonna
They're
say you have
trying
not
to-
seen what I've seen.
Yeah, they're trying to make these phrases that Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones did a really good job with. They're trying to make these phrases in these shows that we're going to spend all day quoting.
Oh yeah, we're gonna spend all day quoting it. All right.
Yeah, just in videos about how it's bad.
Thrawn is
Like-
my favorite EU character, and I'm like depressed that this is how
I'm
we're
so
gonna get it.
sorry.
So
I
like
think
the only thing I'm gonna enjoy from the show is Chopper, and that's about it.
I think you're gonna be okay on Thrawn, Nikki, because I don't think he's gonna be in it longer than 10 minutes.
I hope so.
I think he's gonna show up, but I don't think I don't see them like doing too much with Thrawn in season 1 of Ahsoka. I just don't.
It annoys me that you said season 1.
Well,
And
that
I'm
might
sick of these shows being named after the character too. Like it's so cringe.
she's supposed to be dead. Ahsoka's supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
Like,
It's the
and
timeline.
Dave
It's the
acts like
timeline
he's
that
some
destroys
apostle
it.
of George. Well, your mentor wanted Ahsoka dead. Said Ahsoka's dead, right? Didn't he say she is dead? At some point, George did say that. Either she's supposed to die or she's dead.
He wanted her to die in the Clone Wars, yeah.
Yeah, like what? Dave, I have no faith in Dave Filoni. And I
It's
did
crazy to me because like at the time
1 year, and you did a 180.
I did do a 180 because I was thinking, listen, I had every reason to believe Mandalorian season 3 was going to be good.
Oh God!
After
Me too.
season 2, I thought you can't really screw up Mando. After season 2, I thought
Oh, yes, they can.
you can't really screw it up. And if
And
you
even the good parts of Book of Boba Fett, which were Mando.
I still would have never. If you would have said, "Hey, go pick a Powerball ticket," what's more likely, you winning Powerball or them bringing Lizzo and Jack Black into the Mandoverse? Like, and without anything being online, no rumor. That's just someone saying that to me randomly on a Tuesday. You know, I would have said, "What are you talking about?" Like,
Lizzo's in trouble now too. Her career might be.
She is.
she's getting sued.
She's getting me too.
Was she fat shaming dancers?
No,
they took her out of the Super Bowl.
What sort of
irony.
mirror? Like,
she was making her backup dancers
The irony.
eat bananas out of strippers'
Yeah. In Amsterdam.
parts.
But did she also, was she fat shaming them too?
Well, she was making
I
like
think she was
underhanded comments.
skinny shaming them.
No, this is a problem. When your whole grift is being fat and disgusting, you can't have people on your team getting fatter than you and being more flexible and looking better and fatter. So she makes underhanded comments about what they would eat or how they looked or whatever. Of course, she's gonna fat shame. She's a freaking.
So what mirrors do they put in her trailer? Do they put the mirrors from the fair that are like
Funhouse
crazy
mirrors. You know what? To be honest, if she probably doesn't even like being fat, but that's her grift.
The only person bigger than her is Gorlock. I'm serious.
This was just disgusting because not only is she
trying to tell to lose weight.
she's disgusting because not only is she fat, but she tries to make sure you see her fat. Like showing up to basketball games with her freaking cheeks hanging out. Like it's just gross. That's her grift. That's how she.
The thing that gets me about her is I've caught like 4.5 seconds of her, let's call it act.
Sorry, I'm not.
And the amount of movement and dancing she apparently does. You know, you've got to
What's up,
practice that. Do what?
I was saying hi to Damio.
Oh, you've got to practice that. You do. You it's not just you go up there on Friday night and you're doing stuff all throughout the week. I don't understand how she's still so big.
Because it's a grift. She probably.
Well, yeah. I mean, it must be.
And she's
I
vegan.
saw this thing that said McDonald's was partnering with her to do the Lizzo meal, and it was like 9 burgers and 12 orders of fries.
She's vegan. Isn't that the biggest horse crap you've ever heard?
We're gonna find out a year from now that she's Grimace's daughter. Hey, Venture.
He actually just got signed by the Raiders to be a defensive lineman.
Yeah, I never thought about this. Venture in Game of Thrones episode Hard Home, Tormund Giantsbane and the Wildling Woman, Ascari, both say this is the way. Yeah, they do.
Oh my God.
They stole that?
Yeah, they stole it from Game of Thrones. Yeah. There's nothing listen, I love original Star Wars, and I can give a pass to the prequels because a new generation joined. Yeah, Star Wars dog coming at you, Caleb. I always have to look at Special Ray's messages or chat and look at it a second and third time to make sure I can repeat it.
So I hate to do this, guys, but I got to take off. But it was fun talking to you guys again. So I'll be
absolutely. You're welcome anytime, Nikki. You bring some levity to otherwise 3 morons.
I'm a diversity point.
Hey, no.
We had our quota.
We're hitting our DEI.
We're
trying to get our ESG up. So you need to hang around.
YouTube and the DEI initiative. We're check the box tonight.
Exactly. All right, guys. Take care. Have a good one, everybody.
See you. Have a good weekend, Nikki.
You too. Bye-bye.
So it's this stuff is so laughable. There's one thing though, I kind of am a little bit more interested in it than maybe you are, Sterling. I want to share my screen something we haven't covered that I kind of think could be good, and that is Sydney Sweeney has been cast to play Spider-Woman in the Madam Web movie from Sony.
I thought they cast
Dakota Johnson is.
I thought Dakota Johnson was playing her.
She's playing Madam Web, the first Madam Web, right? I'm not an expert in all the comics. I've read some of it, but I believe that
they're side characters.
But I believe that this character, she's playing. Sydney Sweeney's playing Julia Carpenter, also known as Spider-Woman. She is also the second Madam Web.
Okay.
So she takes over for Dakota Johnson.
Is this like a multiverse thing?
So it's an ensemble cast featuring characters from the Spider-Man comics. Sony expands the catalog with characters like Venom and Morbius. Oh, please don't include Morbius. Expectations from Madam Web are high. Shared universe on the line. Who is Julia Carpenter? While Sweeney stayed tight-lipped about the other detail. This is Collider, by the way, giving credit to Collider. She shared the time of booking the role. I was freaking out. I went straight to the comic store. I bought every comic that mentioned my character. She read the comics.
Wow, they let her read the comics.
What a novel concept. There's no sign yet whether her character will take the leap and would don the Spider-Woman avatar in the upcoming movie. But when asked about what she hopes for her character or the role in the cinematic universe, she offers a coy yes. So I'm kind of looking forward to this. One, because they're not taking Spider-Man and making it Spider-Woman. These are characters that are in the comics, played by females, and Sydney Sweeney, she's hot.
The only thing I've heard from this that I've been negative about is I really liked and purists are going to kill me when I get this wrong. I really liked the 90s Spider-Man TV show. Pretty sure it's not 90s.
Yeah.
Great.
And Madam Web was in it. And I am disappointed that Dakota Johnson's playing that Madam Web, because that's not what Madam Web should look like.
She's old, right?
Yes. And blind as well, I believe.
It's just they're just not characters I care about. I mean, I love Spider-Man, but I've never really cared about Spider-Woman or any of the.
Oh yeah, and I don't really either. It's one of those things that I like seeing a consistency.
Right.
And
no, I agree.
That's just it's a little bit of I'm starting to see a little bit of a red card there, but
I think you should stay as authentic as possible when you do the castings. But
let me tell you, listen, it's Friday night. let me tell you why I'm excited for her being cast in Madam Web. Okay, Sydney Sweeney, we support you here on the Sundowners Club, and we want to see you succeed. And you know, one of the reasons why I really like her, and I'm going to pull this up. See if I
what
can.
Nikki said.
So, can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
So this was on Variety. This is an established magazine. Variety is well known. So nobody beat me up because I'm on Variety.com. Sydney Sweeney takes control. So you see there, Sterling? She's sitting on a block of ice. First of all, she's got to be pretty, you got to be pretty disciplined and, tough to sit through a photo shoot where you're sitting on a cold block of ice. So one, it tells us she's a hard worker. She's got some really cool shoes here. I won't comment on the rest other than, she looks like she's really into what she's doing, and she's committed to the photo shoot. And so Variety, listen, there she's all, I buy those waffle cones all the time.
She looks like a hard worker.
And she's so I've got, we like some of the same food. So she's got ice cream there and a waffle cone.
She'll be dedicated to the role.
Yeah. And this is showing dedicated to this photo shoot. And listen, I liked those types of blow pops when I was a kid.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so
I like blue. Blue's a cool color.
Yeah. And look, I mean, and look, when you grew up and when you moved out and got an apartment for the first time, who didn't have one of those little remote fans that sat on a table because you didn't have a fan overhead of your bed?
Yeah.
Everybody had fans like that. Sydney's no different. She's got a fan and it's blowing her hair in the opposite direction. So, listen, this photo shoot is telling me, and we're back to the block of ice. And so what I like about this block of ice is that it's so clear you could kind of see through to her on the other side of it. And so, this article, one, makes me feel like I can identify with her more. And I'm pulling for her. I'm pulling for her to do well in this story. And everything I've seen from Sydney Sweeney tells me that I'm going to see Madam Web opening weekend. Avenger, ice cream is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Star Wars Marvel purist. I think that's insulting that she's pulling a Kate Upton. She is much more talented. This girl has been in Euphoria. She just landed the role of Julia Carpenter, Spider-Woman.
Have you ever watched Euphoria?
I've watched some of it.
Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea, but it's well done.
Missing much?
Yeah.
Did you know the one actor died in real life?
Venger, I don't know if you have a cold. Talking about getting the tissues. Maybe it's rainy over there in England. I'm not really sure, but Star Wars Marvel purist, you see yourself in her. Yeah, I mean, she's committed to it. And listen, I'm on record. We're going to cover Madam Web on this channel. We're going to do videos on it, and I'm a fan of Sydney Sweeney. We're going to show more of Sydney Sweeney, and
I don't know how you could show more.
And look, Sterling, you already said you like Venom, you like Tom Hardy, you like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Although he hasn't really crossed over yet. There's been a little bit of teasing of crossover. Breezy, she could get it. I don't know what it is, but she got the role. She got the waffle cone. She got the blow pop. We could be the official Madam Web channel. I don't know why listen. So if they're trying to reach out to a different audience, we hear that about Hollywood all the time. They're wanting to, they have these movies where 85% of the fan base is male and they just want to disregard them and bring in a different audience. Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to bring in the male audience for Madam Web? I think that's what they're trying to do. And I think that we're the audience that they're speaking to. And so I'm going to cover it. And I don't want to hear anybody talk any smack about Sydney Sweeney.
Absolutely not.
I think she's fantastic. And I'm going to be covering her.
No smacking.
Not
on
really covering her,
Sydney
but
Sweeney at
covering
all.
her activities. So I want to cover that because that ties into the kind of the Sony, expansion of their version, not a multiverse, but of that larger universe. And I look, for those of you that don't really know much about Dakota Johnson, Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith's daughter, she's got a series of movies where she's dating a guy. It's a little bit of a romantic comedy. He maybe puts a blindfold on her. They play around with food. It's, there's some heels and leather
I'm not
involved.
gonna lie. When I saw
but-
Dakota, I was thinking it was Dakota Fanning. So
No.
it is Dakota Johnson.
No, Dakota Johnson is
Okay.
not Dakota Fanning.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Isn't she? I know she's friends with. What's his name? Pirates of the Caribbean, Johnny Depp. Is she friends with Johnny Depp, or is she his goddaughter?
Dakota
I know
Johnson?
there's an actual relationship there.
You talking about Dakota?
Yeah.
I think she friends with Lily Depp too. I think so yeah, they don't really I think they were in a movie together. They're friends.
Okay. All right. I thought there was like a
Johnny-
semi-familial relationship there.
For those who don't
Like-
know, Johnny, the last couple of weeks, Johnny's had a rough couple of weeks. He looks rough, man. He was walking outside somewhere in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere had a cane. He fell.
Oh.
Yeah, he's looked rough the last couple of weeks. He had to cancel some shows.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he's going through, but I do think that Robert Downey Jr. wants to bring him into the new Sherlock movie. I think
That'd be awesome.
Robert Downey Jr. is still trying to pull that off, but
Yeah.
Johnny's got to get healthy enough to work.
Mhm.
Robert Downey Jr. has known him since they came up together in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
And he's friends with him, so he knows there's no sense putting him in a movie and putting that kind of pressure on him. And then the studio, that could be the end of his career. He's has a little bit of a potential for demand. Johnny.
Yes,
Depp.
he definitely does.
And it started with Rihanna. Rihanna went out on a limb on her live campaign that she did for her clothing line and stuff. And she put Johnny, and she caught a lot of flack for that because that was around the time of the court stuff. And people gave her a lot of crap. And she said, you know what? I don't believe – she basically didn't believe anything that was said that he was accused of. Yep. She's friends with him. And she said, I'm the CEO of my company. I'm putting him in. And so –
Amen.
She did. I really have a lot of respect for Rihanna for sticking to that. And he was in the video. He was in it. And so – and I think people want to see Johnny back. But,
he commands such a presence on the screen.
And if they did it right, and I don't think they will, I don't think they'll go back to it, but if they did it right and he played Jack Sparrow one more time, I would go see it. I would be there opening.
I'd see another Pirates movie.
Pirates movie. Don't do another Pirates movie unless you find a good way to bring, even if he looks older, I'm fine with him looking older because he is older. But he's got to be healthy. It can't be Johnny Depp, that is delaying production and then it's over. So I want to see him, accepting that he's getting older. Everybody fights that. Accept it and just get healthy. And if you do Sherlock 3, great. If you do another Pirates, great. There's no reason why Johnny couldn't be a villain in
Sherlock.
A villain in Sherlock, a villain in something with Marvel, a villain in something with Star Wars, or if it was done by the right people.
He was great.
In
Fantastic Beasts, is that what Grindelwald?
He was great. He was the only good thing.
Really liked him.
He was the only good thing. So this is, Johnny's one of the guys that if he's on top of his game, or if he's, where he can perform, he can draw an audience.
Absolutely.
There's not very many people like that left. Keanu, Denzel, Tom Hanks to some degree.
On top of their game thing, I still think, and this is probably a weird.
Ray, I think you're right. Tim Burton,
but I still think Charlie Sheen can draw an audience, but he's just so
He's not healthy
messed
either.
up now.
He's not healthy. And
Yeah,
you
he's
can't
not
get
healthy.
insured. Like, so the question is, what project's he going to do? Because they won't insure him.
Yeah.
He can't.
Well, and then in his face has aged so much.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you just go look at 2.5 Men, he looks so much older from season 1 to even 5.
Yeah. Well, he's had, you know, when with all the drug addiction stuff, you lose teeth, and you know, you have so many things that happen to your body, and you know, reconstruct. Like, you know, look at Matthew Perry from the Friends. He was on the reunion, and he had just had his whole mouth, his teeth all redone, dental work, and he was, you know, Jennifer Aniston was holding him up, and people were talking about what was going on. He's talking like this. You know, he was going through all kinds of stuff, man, with addiction.
Yeah.
And,
It's
rough,
sad to hear about that stuff, you know, because when I was a kid and I was kind of watching that stuff, I didn't know any of that stuff. Like I knew that Charlie Sheen was not a great person, but I didn't know everything that he was doing. And then, you know, I liked I still like to a point 2.5 Men. I thought it was a really funny show, but it definitely changes, and knowing what he was doing at the time, I feel like changes the show as well. And it's just kind of disappointing because I would never say I looked up to any of these people, especially Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
But you know, you get these moments where one of my favorite movies as a kid was The Rookie, and Angus Jones plays the kid in The Rookie. Well, he also plays the kid in 2.5 Men. And so it's kind of like trying to separate those two roles.
Hey, that was a movie in the 80s, Lucas. People remember Lucas, where Corey Haim was the little kid and Charlie Sheen was the high school.
I remember that.
Popular guy, Lucas.
I remember that.
Yeah, football.
What's the one when he and Emilio Estevez?
He's got Adonis blood, Caleb. That was one of the greatest interviews ever. When Charlie Sheen goes, I've got Adonis blood, tiger DNA.
Tiger blood, yeah.
No, he said, I've got tiger blood, Adonis DNA.
I've got tiger.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Courtney Thorne Smith was in that.
He goes, I've got tiger blood, Adonis DNA. Winning. Listen, when you've seen people with addiction, like, I don't laugh, but like you see that interview and you're like, he is up. Like it's like someone trying to tell me that a certain celebrity at the con that I went to, like, you know, oh no, she's fine. I'm like, she's messed up. What are you talking about?
That Star Wars Marvel purist, Major League is such a great movie.
What's the one when he was with Emilio Estevez and they were garbage men?
Men at Work.
That's right. That was a good one.
Men at Work. That it didn't do as well, but you know, it had a cult following. Definitely had a cult following. But yeah, and one more thing before we wrap up tonight, you know, and I appreciate everybody stopping by, and you know, thanks for the support. You know, our guy James Gunn in DC, they gotta get their ship right. You know, they gotta, you know, this whole stuff about Gal Gadot and talking about she was going to develop in Wonder Woman 3 together, and then they had to come out and said they're not. The messaging around DC, like, I'm excited to see the Superman movie. I like some of the casting so far. We've covered it, but man, they gotta, you know, I know what he's doing is James Gunn's meeting all these people that he's not doing stuff with, and he's saying, hey, Gal, Henry, I'd love to work with you on something. But he's keeping it vague, and it's like a nice way of saying, you know,
not now, not today.
Special Ray, I would love Gal Gadot on some ice.
Gal Gadot, she's got a Netflix movie coming out.
The Special Agent one.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks pretty good.
Looks okay. I've learned to trust Netflix with series, but not with movies.
Yeah, they are.
They lost me.
They're
on
what,
like
1 in 10 on movies
after The Witcher and
No, I don't trust him. I don't trust. I don't blame Netflix for what's happened with The Witcher. I blame Lauren, who's the showrunner, hiring a bunch of people that don't even like the content they're working on.
Yep.
I feel like Netflix needs to have somebody.
That's why with the whole strike, I hope some of these people, end up having to get other jobs.
Clean house.
Well, what about the way, like just after, I think it was probably within a week of everyone basically announcing that Henry Cavill's leaving The Witcher, and all of a sudden they just start doing everything they can to demonize him. And
they put a campaign out against him. Absolutely.
Yeah, we got that podcast that did that decided that they were gonna start doing this stuff about him in their fake fake news part of the podcast, and that stuff went viral.
You had content creators with large audiences that were putting out smear campaigns on Henry Cavill.
It was terrible.
And 99% of anything that's ever been said about him has not been proven true. And he just called them out because they weren't faithful to the books.
Yeah.
So I'm out. He had an out. He wanted to do like 6 or 7. He said, I'll do the show as long as they honor the lore and follow the storytelling. He said, don't fix it if it's not broken.
Absolutely.
So he had an out after season 3. And he said, and so now I read that they're going to use the magical part of The Witcher to just make him look different. They're not even going to really explain it. He's not going to have the long white hair, supposedly. Everybody thought Liam Hemsworth was going to come in and look exactly like. No, supposedly they're going to he'll have maybe shorter hair or something. They're talking about.
I bet you they shave half of it. I bet you they shave the side of his head.
And it's based on something with the books or something about interpretation of when you have different viewpoints, kind of like Fire and Blood is. Different views or interpretations of
they've already
Geralt.
Had a lot of bad interpretations,
and so they're going to basically just have a different view of him, and that's what I was reading was the rumor is what they're going to do. Stupid! It's going to tank so bad. The ratings, I don't think the ratings were good at all for the last half of season.
No, it's. I think it's one of Netflix's worst seasons of television ever.
Because enough people knew he was out.
Yep.
And
it was already,
well, and that's why would you tell everyone before the show even comes out, by the way, he's gone?
Yeah.
There's a reason DC
it's going to leak and
Warner,
everybody's going to find out anyway.
Yeah, there's a reason DC and Warner have said several times they're sticking with Ezra Miller so that so that we wouldn't, or so that everyone wouldn't just skip the Flash. They're still probably not going to stick with him, but they needed to say they would so that people would still go see it.
Special Ray asking about Jonathan Majors' accuser. No, they found a video of her getting trashed and partying the same night. So they basically
so this is what happened. So
they proved she was lying.
With Majors. So I've covered this a couple times. So New York has part of New York's domestic violence laws require that if you are accused of domestic violence, you must be arrested. You have to be. And it is a protection thing. Because as anyone that's even watched live PD knows that unless the spouse or the girlfriend or the boyfriend or whatever says to the cop, yes, he hit me, please take him away, the police can't do anything about it. So New York passed a law that said if domestic violence is accused or believed, you must take the offending party away and arrest them as long as you have reasonable cause to arrest. He showed up with scratches on his face, a 911 call made by her, and which means they had reasonable cause. Ever since then, everything that has come out has shown she is recanted. There's video evidence of her hitting him. There's video evidence of him trying to stop her because it was clear she was having a manic break. So literally every single thing has stacked up on his side. And it just feels like the machine has decided, no, we don't want him anymore.
So, we haven't really covered that on our channel. We talked, I talked about seeing Ant-Man, and before it even hit theaters, I got a chance to see it, and I called it out. It was a piece of crap. And I actually went on Echo Base's stream, and before it was released, and said, I don't know that I don't think this movie will make $500 million. It could. It actually was talking. I was talking about it losing money. And I remember Coach was like, losing. Like I said it in the super chat, right? He's like, losing money, like. And then it came out and it bombed. Yeah. I think Jonathan Majors. I don't know that they're going to do the whole Secret Wars and the Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah,
like they may. First of all, his career's been damaged.
I just don't care about that whole.
He's been fired and let go from like 90% of his.
So a couple things going on here. I'm all innocent till proven guilty. We didn't cover anything about Jonathan Majors. I don't want to cover it because of the legal stuff. And unless you saw a video of somebody doing something, that's different. You see something directly on video. Even then, it can be a little deceptive if you don't see before and after. But we haven't covered it. But there's a lot more to it in that other stuff about Majors and how he is on sets and how he's been has been people have come out afterwards. And so whether any of that's true or none of it is, it's damaged his career.
Yeah.
And he's part of a movie, Quantumania, that bombed badly for Disney. And it gives Disney, unfortunately, for Jonathan Majors, because I think the guy's a good actor. And I've said it before, I think he's a good actor. Unfortunately for him, it gives them the opening with all the stuff going on with Disney right now to say, let's slow down on this. People didn't go see Quantumania, and he is in Loki season 2, but let's kind of end it after Loki season 2. They can recalibrate that, or they can put someone else in the role. One thing
his whole theme is a multiverse variant. Like you could cast anyone to play
multiverse.
Yeah. So
I just have a whole thing for due process, and it just
it's one of those things that
it just kills me when I see like when it was happening to Johnny Depp, even, and I hate to say it, even with it happening to Amber Heard, I'm like, that no one has been convicted of this. Is what was said in the defamation trial, is what was said bad? Yes, but no one has been convicted.
Yeah, and you can't be, I don't like hypocrisy. And you can't say, I could use this example because it's not an accusation of abuse, but it's the same end result. Gina Carano, not a big deal for the series overall. It didn't impact Mando or Star Wars, but she was fired for having an opinion. Well, you could disagree with it all day long. It was a bad choice of an image to put on social media, or she's working for a company. Yeah, they could fire her. They absolutely could fire her, or just not renew the contract or move forward. They have the right to do that. That's fine. But she basically was blacklisted.
Sort of. They sort of have the right, but that gets deep into
it gets into the minutia of like what was in the contract and all that. But but she's been blacklisted after the fact, not doing anything else.
Not okay with that.
There's other people. I mean, Johnny Depp, was fired off of Fantastic Beasts, and I don't, you can't say you want people to have due process and innocent until proven guilty, and then not afford that to Jonathan Majors. So
exactly, yeah.
I believe you're innocent until it's proven otherwise. But what's happened is in the court of public opinion and people that hire people, he got dropped by agencies, he lost jobs.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's hurt his career. And I don't like that. I don't like it. And so I hope that if all this, comes out to where it was her just making an accusation that wasn't accurate, I hope he sues the hell out of her. I hope he gets his career back, but
she's recanted. She said, she basically went up to the police and said, by the way, I was having a manic break. He was trying to save my life. He didn't hit me. It's the down here we call them solicitors. It's the what was Jack McCoy? He was the attorney general. Nope. District attorney. It's the district attorney's office that isn't like listening. They think they have this giant whale that they're going to make a huge case out of, and they don't. It's going to fall apart. I can't wait to see it fall apart.
Yeah, and it may be a blessing in disguise that he exits out of Kang, and gets to do other
I
projects.
agree. Yeah.
Like if he may end up coming out. I mean, I know
Well,
Gina
because
Carano,
what's his
I know Gina
Sylvester
Carano-
Stallone has stayed by him. He
Gina
quotes
Carano
him in the
probably-
next movie.
Gina Carano probably wanted to work on Mando season 3 and get that check, but now she's probably looking at it saying, you know what? It probably was a good thing I wasn't involved with that. So, you know, all that to say, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with him, but, you know, one last thing I want, and then we'll wrap up because we've been going about 2 hours and 20 minutes or so. You know, there's a few sites out there that are pretty accurate. I don't necessarily say I agree with their opinions on different things when they get into personal and politics and all that. But Bespin Bulletin is a pretty damn accurate Star Wars source. And, you know, I don't know if you saw, Caleb, at the beginning of the show, we showed the Disney schedule and Skeleton Crew's not on it. And Bespin Bulletin, you know, had spoken on Making Star Wars stream about that he's hearing some things. He now has concern about Skeleton Crew's release in 2023, and that something else big is going to be there's going to be some other stuff. And when he said big, the only thing big is the movies. And so stay tuned for that. I think that we're going to hear some stuff that could be a blessing for Star Wars fans around these 3 movies that they've been trying to mysteriously, before the strike.
A blessing is in they're going to cancel?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, so we know Kennedy's contract is up in 2024. And people don't always talk about this. So nobody's saying she's getting fired before her contract. But just like in sports, they can pay you through your contract and have you not work. They do that with coaches all the time. They do it in business all the time. We're paying your contract. So you're not fired. We're paying. We're just not going to renew it in October of 2024 or whatever, but you're paid.
Yeah.
And there's no announcement, but you're not making any decisions anymore. So Kathy Kennedy, since Indy has been released, it's been silence. And so there's a lot of rumors and speculation all out there, but we know the contract runs through 2024. And let's keep our eye on this whole thing around the 3 movies, because I think when Bespin is talking about something big, and he was talking about that in reference to when he was talking about Skeleton Crew to Jason Ward at Making Star Wars, about, you know, it's not on the slate and what's happening with Skeleton Crew.
Did you see the Acolyte on there? I can't remember.
I'm sure it's on there. It's actually going to happen.
The Acolyte is definitely going to happen.
I love your optimism, though.
Yeah, let's see. The Acolyte was the Acolyte's, but no, this was a 2023 slate. Acolyte's 2024.
Okay.
Now here's what we know: Acolyte will be delayed. It will be delayed.
Why?
So what they originally were thinking about for 2024, that will be delayed. But he mentioned when they were talking about the delays, something else big in conjunction with stuff not happening. And so we're going to hear some stuff in the next, I think we're going to hear some stuff very soon, and it's going to be related to the 3 movies. And so we've heard rumors that they wouldn't do a Mando season 4. They would do a movie, a Mando movie instead that leads into another Mando movie, which would mean you wouldn't get another Star Wars movie. And I think it would be the Mangold movie. The 10 Commandments of Star Wars would be the casualty. Why would you
which I'm upset about because of all of them. I was actually kind of excited for the Jedi movie.
I'm not, because the guy just, you know, he just
I know. But see, this thing, I didn't see the movie. So in my mind, I'm not comparing.
You didn't see Indy?
No,
Dial of Destiny?
No, I wasn't going to do that to myself. I saw Crystal Skull. I still love Indiana Jones.
I talked about it. I went in thinking disaster. And I think because of my mindset was on disaster, I didn't think it was that bad. It has issues. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the way they treated
Yeah.
Indy.
Well,
hard to
so
watch.
I'll never watch anything with her because she ruined the
You-
coolest
you know,
person in the world.
You see all my indie stuff behind me. I've got the Holy Grail and the
Yeah, the Holy Grail from the best movie, from the
Yeah.
best Indiana Jones movie.
Ark of the Covenant. I'm a sucker for indie, so I went to the theater. Sterling, if he would have gone, he would have been cussing the whole time. But I'm an easy sell.
I've seen
Indy's
it.
one of the few things, just like Han Solo. You stick him on the screen, and I'm a sucker. So I was like, I enjoyed
I
it
understand.
because I wanted to see it. But I wouldn't argue like Ryan Kendall was. We were talking about, the movie, and I liked it, but I'm not going to sit here and defend the writing of certain scenes and what they did, the choices they made. And so I'm not shocked that it bombed because first of all, little kids aren't going to see an 80-year-old Indiana Jones. So you don't have that audience. And then there were people that were pissed about the choices made. So you lose them. So you don't get the return business. So I get it.
Special Ray said he hasn't seen the last Terminator. Neither have I.
The last Terminator. But
That
what I'll
looked
say
awesome.
Which
about
one? There's been like 3 of them.
but here's the
The
problem
one
with
where they killed John Connor and make a Mexican chick the savior of humanity.
But here's the deal with Mangold. It doesn't matter whether I like the movie, you don't. The movie is going to lose them $200 million, and you have to raise funds to make movies.
Yep.
So there's people that make the decision on who to hire, and there's no you're an idiot if you say, hey, let's give Mangold another 200 plus million. If you're making a Star Wars movie, you're not going to make it for 120 million.
You could if you didn't
get
hire
Greta
A-list actors.
Greta Gerwig will do Star Wars next.
Yeah, Greta Gerwig.
Stop hiring A-list actors to put. You don't need to hire actors to put butts in seats. Actors don't do that anymore.
But you know what Greta Gerwig has made?
What?
She's made a freaking juggernaut movie in Barbie.
Yeah, she'll be doing the next Star Wars.
No, she won't be doing
Narnia.
She won't be doing Star Wars because her next project is the Chronicles of Narnia.
So Star Wars Marvel purist Mangold has made some great movies. Ford versus Ferrari, Logan.
Great.
I liked his movies.
What are they doing?
The problem is we're talking about hiring a director like Mangold to make a tentpole 200 million plus movie. And there are people that can do that. And then there are people that are better fit making Ford versus Ferrari. Mangold, 310 to Yuma. For those movies, give him that budget, take that pressure off, and let him do what he's good at. I think
he's already got the story. That's the thing. You've got these directors that are great at making movies about stuff that's happened because they can just go open the book and go, okay, this would be a really cool scene to shoot this way.
What are they
doing? And doing that, which is what he did with Ford versus Ferrari.
So Narnia is going to be, I think, on Amazon, right?
Netflix.
So
Netflix bought the rights.
So it's a show.
15 years ago.
But they're doing like what HBO is doing with Harry Potter.
Sort of. I believe they're doing movies. I believe they're going to do 7 movies.
No, so Greta Gerwig is reportedly attached to direct 2 movies based on the C.S. Lewis fantasy novels.
And I think they're starting with The Magician's Nephew and oh my God, what is it? Lion the Witch of the Wardrobe.
But they just had movies like a few years. I mean, it's
been
a little while.
I mean, it's been like 15 years.
She's doing
so it's just a reboot, the same movie.
Yeah. So the original plan when whoever it was that was making them, and actually I think it's Disney. It was 20th Century that made them. So 20th Century had a plan to make these movies with all the same actors and all the same voices, and after the first 2 went to high acclaim, they made like $600 million. They way above budget. The third movie didn't do as well, and so they decided to stop there while they were ahead, and kind of like some other people should do. And then the next 2 or 3, because they skipped over Magician's Nephew and Horse and His Boy, and so they're going to do the Silver Chair and the Last Battle. And they decide just to not do it.
Listen, until I see Greta Gerwig, not. I mean, look, she did Barbie. She made it for a female audience. It wasn't made for me. So kudos to her. She's a good filmmaker. Listen, you don't
for her audience,
which is fine. Like, you don't make a movie like if you make a movie that makes $1 billion, $1.2 billion, $1.3 billion, or whatever, it's probably going to beat Super Mario. It's real close to beating it.
Yeah.
You don't do that and not be good at your craft. So more power to her. Like she kicked ass on Barbie. She deserves a lot of credit for that. Until I see her saying something stupid, casting the wrong people, the story, it looks like crap. I'll be like, okay, let's, I'm waiting to see. I want to see, and look, it'll leak out.
You're so optimistic.
I'm not optimistic. I'm just neutral. I'm idling. Like, show me something good, and I'll watch it. If you don't,
which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, and Star Wars Marvel Purists talking about Copland and Walk the Line. Walk the Line was really good. So,
I didn't see Copland. What is that?
Copland was Sylvester Stallone. Walk the Line, unlike the Elvis movie, Walk the Line got the history right. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's you're in my wheelhouse of expertise when you talk about Johnny Cash and Elvis, and that's my world. So they got it right, and they really got this characters like Jerry Lee Lewis right, and Joaquin not trying to look like Johnny Cash, and like he went after the essence of who the guy was without trying to be a caricature. Yeah. And his relationship with his father and all the stuff that was true, and the fact that June Carter Cash saved him. He'd have been dead. He'd have been dead in the early 70s if it wasn't for June Carter Cash. He'd have died. And so it is a great movie that was based on that love story. Complicated man and great artist, and really good movie. Copland's good too. That was kind of a comeback for Stallone. Copland was really good. Hopefully we covered a lot of stuff tonight. Hopefully you guys had fun. We normally don't go on a Friday night, but we had storms again this week. I mean, it impacts, power's been going out where we are, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 homes or more. It's been crazy. It's for where we are in the Southeast is we wrap up. Usually by August, you're literally fighting to keep your yard from drying out and burning up and not being green anymore. You're watering it every day. And literally I haven't had to water my yard at all. And it looks blue green. Like it's never happened like that before in August. Never. So the other day, I think Mattuine was coming into town, and he picked the wrong time to come into where storms were rolling in, and it wiped out, 30% of the city. So for a day or two. So it's been an odyssey this last week. We were going to stream on Wednesday or Thursday, but we moved it. So I know we've been a little inconsistent with our stream times, but we appreciate the people that are loyal, that have stuck with us. And, we are, I anticipate this weekend we'll be monetized. It's more so, we're 3 away. So we really appreciate it. It's been a great journey. We're just beginning. We're going to do a lot of cool stuff coming up. Going to show you guys some more stuff around the studio. We're going to make it more interactive. We have a third camera that's going to be added that kind of does some angles. And you know what? I'm going to say something right now. So if Ahsoka is good and everybody likes it, and you guys won't BS anybody, Special Ray, Star Wars Dog, Marvel Purist, Sith Apple, Caleb, everybody that goes to X-Wing and Echo Base and the really good Star Wars sites, the loyal, you guys are going to tell it like it is. So if it's good, you're all going to say it. Most of you are going to say it. Mm-hmm. You're honest. And if it's good, I'm giving away the Ahsoka that's up here on the back shelf. So it has not been opened. It is that Sideshow? I'm not sure. Can you guys see that behind Sterling?
Yeah.
It's either Sideshow. Is it Sideshow? But you guys that see that, it's
Should it be the other way? If it's bad, you'll give it away, and if it's good,
no. No, if it's good, I want people. If it's good, people will be excited. They'll have a little bit of hope for Star Wars, and it'll make me want to give something away. If it's bad, I'll keep it because that means they won't make any more Ahsoka, and it'll be worth more money because
So I'm looking at the Sideshow. I don't think it's Sideshow.
Maybe it's Hot Toys. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, the Sideshows are like
take it down and give it
$600.
It's Hot Toy. It's Hot Toy.
It is Hot Toys.
Yeah, I just looked up the Hot Toy Ahsoka. It's the same box.
So it wasn't. I don't know. What do you see the price online for it?
Let's see.
Slideshows are like $650.
No,
$550, $600.
$230.
That's about right.
Yep.
And it's unopened. So if it's good, I'm giving it away. If it's not good, I'm putting it up somewhere and saving it because there'll be no more Ahsoka stuff, and that'll make the value go up. So that's my deal. I'm sticking to it. Caleb, you want to talk about your channel real quick before we get out of here?
Yeah, just we this week we've uploaded 2 videos about Dan's and then mine favorite Game of Thrones series fan theories. I've got a video coming out tomorrow that's kind of a ode to George and, shockingly enough, D&D, and just really kind of thanking them for, even though season 8 was terrible, thanking them for doing it because it really opened up this fandom to me. I've been in this fandom for 6 years now, and it's just been just so much fun. So I got that coming out tomorrow. Other than that, yeah, that's it for now.
Cool. Well, thanks for jumping.
It's called King's Advisors. I didn't say that. It's called King's Advisors.
King's Advisors. If you like Game of Thrones content, check out King's Advisors. Caleb's always good. We appreciate him coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
I
I do want to say, so I opened up the Doctor Who pack. Signatures weren't there was no one that I was like, oh my gosh, about. But I did get a villain card for my favorite villain, Rassinon, played by Timothy Dalton, my favorite James Bond.
Was it autographed?
It's not, but it's a special villain card. And Dalton is, I think, the greatest crime in James Bond beyond No Time to Die is that Timothy Dalton did not get a third James Bond movie.
Yeah, I love Timothy Dalton. Hey, we do a lot of. We're going to be doing more Yellowstone 1923. That's next to Game of Thrones. That's our highest rated content.
Did you bring that? Is he in that?
Timothy Dalton.
He's a bad guy.
Is a great villain.
Oh, I'm starting it tonight.
1923.
Do I need to start? Do I need to watch anything else?
Thinks Harrison Ford, was too old. Indy. He's 80. He wants to see him. Harrison Ford is a badass old guy in 1923, an older guy.
Do I need to watch anything? Do I need to watch the 1800 one?
Kind of.
Before that?
I mean, kind of. I mean, it's not necessary, but it makes it better.
Okay. I'll start with the 1896, right?
No,
1883.
83.
With Sam Elliott, Tim McGraw.
Okay. Timothy Dalton. I love the guy. He started as a Shakespearean actor.
For those that haven't seen it, Timothy Dalton's character in season 1 of 1923 is one of the most sadistic bad guys on television. To me, since Cersei.
I mean, maybe, yeah.
Hey,
probably.
he's pretty sadistic.
It's not quite as
he shows up a couple episodes in, they're easing into it. Like they give you little glimpses, and then for kind of showing you there's a whole lot more that's going on.
I thought he was great in Penny Dreadful. Remember that show?
Penny Dreadful. He's in Flash Gordon. Of course he is. He's Baron. Flash Gordon, and I know we're getting out of here, but Flash Gordon is one of my favorite movies. It's a B movie, serial movie. Loved it. I mean, what else can you see a guy on another planet and he gets introduced to all these aliens and an emperor, and they say, state your name, Earthling, and he says, Flash Gordon, quarterback, New York Jets. I mean, come on now. Like, That was great. Classic, man. But Eva Green, Penny Dreadful, great series. So thank you guys for joining us. We're going to be back this next week with a few new videos, and we're going to try to stream either on Wednesday or Thursday. I need to get some consistency with the days we stream. So I acknowledge that. So when anybody shows up, we really appreciate it. But those that like Timothy Dalton, Harrison Ford, check out 1923. It's amazing. It makes you wonder, why didn't they use Harrison Ford like that in Star Wars or Indy? He's great in it. So anyway, I appreciate you guys. Everybody have a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy it. And we'll be back later next week with more content and TCB.
Absolutely.